Is too good to be in a kid's movie. I don't care what anyone fucking says. That song is so good. Da-da. No, it's gonna cut me off. Da-da. So there she goes. Anyone notice? I don't flex, but I might. Groove about to take flight. All right, let's finish watching this video.
That was in Skelly's chat that he would show recognition to, she would get jealous. The fuck is wrong with you, bitch? You have a whole husband sitting there that you refer to as the peanut gallery.
Oh, not the peanut gallery. How mean.
And I think I think her and her husband are swingers by the way that they talk.
Oh my God.
Hey, John, welcome. Good to see you.
Yikes, Trisha. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? You fucking lonely, miserable, fucking husbandless bitch.
It just disgusts me. I can't get over, I'm sorry, I literally just can't get over the way that she treats her husband. Like, number one, and that's why I won't settle. Because I want someone that I truly, truly love and adore. And somebody, like, I'm waiting for somebody that I am attracted to, that I respect.
Nobody wants you.
That I love, that I adore, that I want to fucking, like, I want to cater to. You know what I'm saying?
Like
I
blogger?
won't get married or being even in a relationship until I find someone that
Are you going to treat them?
much respect for.
Are you going to treat them the way that you treated Cappy?
That I want to treat them like a fucking king. Like, I want to find my king so I can treat him like a fucking king.
A king.
Not so I can sit here on my live stream while he sits in the corner out of fucking camera, and I can belittle him and fucking treat him like a piece of shit. You're a fucking moron.
Trisha's
bitch.
so mad that she's miserable and alone. She's so mad.
And that's all it's showing is your low self-esteem. Because you don't want a king. You're not a queen. You don't want a king. You don't want to fucking...
What the fuck is a king? I never heard of a king. I don't know what a king is. I heard of a king, like, hooked on phonics, bitch. There's no such word as a king. There's no E. Now, if you want to say it like Kang, I understand Kang. Kang makes more sense than king. It's king. King. Not king. I fucking hate the way she talks.
Pamper and treat
king.
Well.
King.
You want someone that's a yes man to sit in the fucking corner and just agree with everything your fucking bitch ass is saying. It's disgusting.
King.
Oh, you better believe I'm about to be a White Castle queen in the AM. I'm gonna get me some White Castle. I told Cher.
You don't have money.
You know what?
You don't have money for literally necessities, but you're gonna go to White Castle. You don't got money for literally everyday things, fucking tampons, deodorant, and kitty litter. But what, you got $20-$30 to splurge on White Castle? Great budgeting. Great job. Now we know why you're broke.
We're gonna get some motherfucking White Castles.
Well, to be fair, you're not going to be up in the morning because it's the morning right now and you haven't even slept yet. So what morning are you referring to? Are you talking to like 1 a.m.? Because that sounds closer to the time that you'll be awake. King.
Because I'm going into town.
Because it's all new people, Maura. It's all brand new people that are just trolla haters that went over there.
I'm going into Vegas when the sun is out.
Doesn't have money, but White Castle. Can't afford necessities for her animals, but White Castle. Maybe take your sick animal to the vet before you get your fat ass White Castle, bitch. I'm the fat one. I'm supposed to be getting White Castle, not you, whore.
All my money at the dispensary. Just kidding. But I am.
Oh, no, she's going to. Oh, exactly. She's not going to buy shit for her animals. She's not going to buy shit for her animals. All Trisha's money today is going to go to what she just said. White Castle and weed. That's what the money is going to go to. All of you people that donated to her, I know that she cries about needing money for tampons and body wash and deodorant. But when you give her money, it's going to go to weed. See, unlike Trisha, I don't lie to you guys. I tell you off rip. Any money you send me is going to go to weed. I'm not going to come out here lying to you guys talking about I need this, this, and that, and then take your money and literally go and buy fucking weed with it. Because that's what she does.
I'm going to the dispensary, and I'm also going to get White Castle for me and baby share.
She's not a baby.
No, you can't come in. Fine, come in. Come in. You guys are cute. I have to pee. Hold on.
Weed and White Castle is what she was crying and begging for. But that's normal, right? That's acceptable. Bro, I'm going to just continually put up $240 dono goals every few days and see how long it takes me to get what I actually need. I'm dead ass. This shit's going on. We're going to start it right now. I got $40 so far, so we're going to start the dono goal at $200. Even though I spent the 40. We're going to just do the full 240. Fuck it. I spent 40. I spent money because you know why? You know what I spent money on? Wax melts. Anyway. Fuck it. Anyway, I want to get into what I said I was going to get into today. I'm going to have to change my title because this is the Gypsy Rose deep dive. Sorry that I started it on a savage note. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to tune in for this. But I think this is important. I haven't seen this video yet, so I think we should start with this one and then we'll go to the other ones because this Gypsy Rose thing is weird. And also, yeah, we're also going to talk about some of the Eugenia Cooney. We're going to go into all this. We're going to do deep dive after deep dive after deep dive because I like deep dives.
Why?
Let's watch.
What is Munchausen syndrome by proxy?
Do you guys know what Munchausen syndrome by proxy is? He's probably going to explain it, but I want to know how many people of you know. How many of y'all know what it is? Because a lot of people think that Munchausen syndrome is the illness, which is, it's not. It's Munchausen by proxy. Because if you have Munchausen syndrome, that means that you believe that you yourself are sick. Munchausen by proxy is when you believe that your loved one is sick.
And why do we need to know about the disease when talking about if it's okay for children to transition? The 32-year-old...
This is a good correlation because he's going to talk... I just seen Jazz Jennings in the thumbnail. What Jazz Jennings' mom did to her is kind of like Munchausen by proxy. She turned her little boy into a little girl. She put that on her child. That now we have like a 19 or 20-year-old Jazz Jennings who's literally going through all these problems, doesn't have working genitals, and has said herself that she envisions herself as a gay man. We mutilated a child. That's what we did as a society. We did that because nobody stepped in and said, hey, this is wrong. We put her on we put her on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones to where her genitals were underdeveloped. So when it became time for her to get sexual reassignment surgery, she didn't even have the proper anatomy. She didn't even have the proper anatomy to do that surgery. And now she's botched. She'll never have sexual relations with anyone because of what her parents did to her and what we as a society let happen to her. But wait, so should Jazz Jennings now kill her mom? No, not at all. But it's okay for Gypsy Rose.
Blanchard is now on parole after spending 9 years in prison for participating in her own mom's unaliving. And I know it sucks that I have to say words like unaliving instead of you know what, starts with M, but I just don't want to get censored on here. Gypsy got her ex-boyfriend to unalive her mother after years of abuse. The mom abused Gypsy due to Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Munchausen by proxy is an illness where the perpetrator will try to impose an illness on another person, usually somebody that's in their care.
Gypsy Rose was perfectly healthy, both physically and also mentally. But Gypsy's mom convinced the doctors that she had leukemia, so she shaved Gypsy's head all the time, muscular dystrophy, so Gypsy has been in a wheelchair since the age of 5. Problems with drooling, even though it was the mom that made her drool, so the doctors removed her salivary glands. Problems with eating, so she got a feeding tube inserted into her stomach. And she also convinced the doctors that Gypsy had a very, very low IQ. And when Gypsy got older, she acted like she was still a little girl. When Gypsy became an adult and found out that she is perfectly healthy, she tried to escape so she could be with her boyfriend at the time. But that didn't work out. The mom caught her and punished her even more, didn't feed her that much for weeks, chained her to the bed or something. So Gypsy decided to tell her boyfriend at the time to unalive her. And
Or he could have just called the cops.
The Gypsy Rose cases
That would have helped.
But the mom's illness, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, is not as rare as you think. This disorder mainly affects moms, and hearing about Gypsy Rose's case made me think of other cases.
Incompetent. Yeah, I think that's the word that you meant to use, incompetent. And yes, doctors are. Doctors go by what their patients tell them. That's why, like, a doctor's diagnosis is such a joke sometimes, because literally I can tell you that I'm something and you will write down that I am something. It's crazy, especially psychiatrists. It's kind of sick the way that it is.
Where I personally believe we're talking about Munchausen syndrome by
her mom's family flushed her ashes down the toilet.
proxy, but nobody's
That's
talking
wild.
about it. The media is not talking about it. And yes, I'm of course talking about trans children. It's impossible for a kid to be trans, and in most cases, the children/teenagers get the idea from TikTok. But unfortunately, in some situations, the children did not get the idea from TikTok, from the trans community. They got the idea that they're trans from their parents, especially their mothers. These moms will see their boys, let's say, wear a dress, maybe once or maybe twice, and then they think, oh, that means he's a girl. So that's my mission, to make him into a girl. Make him believe that he's a girl.
I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
When did she tell you you were a girl?
Because I love girls. She buys my headbands.
Uh-huh.
She pays
And this is what mothers are doing to their little boys. They're telling their little boys, you're a girl.
nails.
So mommy puts you in a dress and puts nail polish on you? Mm-hmm. And what does mommy tell you?
She tells me I'm a girl.
These moms love to be on TV, put their children on display in order to get attention, sympathy/empathy. Like, look at me, feel sorry for me because I have a child who's in pain. But when the children themselves are being asked about their situation, you can clearly tell that what they're saying is coming directly from their moms, or their parents in general.
To describe it, you were born the gender that you don't feel like in your heart.
Before I had transitioned, I had like a piece missing to me. It didn't feel right.
Anyone can be whoever they want, and it doesn't matter what your opinion is.
What are the similarities between cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy and cases of parents convincing their children that they're trans? A mother with Munchausen syndrome by proxy will convince their child that they're sick. They're brainwashing the child because it's essential that the child also believes in it. The mom would test the child in order to make sure that the child is convinced, is brainwashed into believing that they're sick. I've seen that strategy way too many times when watching documentaries or YouTube clips of trans kids and their parents.
If you use a blocker and go on to testosterone, your eggs would never mature. You would have to go through female puberty, which is something you could do.
I could, but I don't want to.
Why?
Because it's uncomfortable.
What's
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but you're talking to a child, and a child isn't going to have the wherewithal to know that when they become an adult that they're going to want to have children. Most women don't decide that they want to actually have children until their mid to late 20s. At least that's what happened for me.
think of that. I'm a guy.
What are you going to do about that if you can't have your own child?
Adopting, is a great idea to me.
Do people ever wonder if you're too young to know if you're trans?
Yeah, and, are they too young to know that they're cis?
This dialogue right here is about the mom trying to prove that she didn't convince her child that they're trans. She's under the impression that what we just saw proves the girl actually knows that she's trans and wants to transition. She knows what the consequences are and she's fine with it. My opinion is she was testing her child. If the cameras were turned off, she would say, "Do you remember what we talked about when people ask you, aren't you too young to know? You remember the answer? Wait, don't say the last thing. Remember what we rehearsed." But of course, I don't know if that's what's going on. What the two different types of moms also have in common is how they're always overly prepared when going to the doctor's office. They always make sure to know everything about the illness, and some are even obsessed with the illness. Sounds familiar. I know that trans activists deny that the reason why people transition and are transsexuals is due to a mental disorder, but it doesn't change the fact about how obsessed these moms are with the trans identity.
He, a month ago, started hormone blockers. It's an implant. It is to prevent his puberty, which would cause a lot of havoc.
Both types of moms make the illness their children's entire identity. The unfulfilling needs of getting validation, affirmation, attention, sympathy, and empathy are things that both moms can relate to. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is about lying, fabricating what the child is going through. The illnesses the child is supposed to go through are often visible, very visible. So Gypsy Rose was in a wheelchair. She was bald. Trans children are also very visible. No, they don't look sick at all, but the little boy always has to wear this very bright pink dress. A lot of girls don't even look like this on a daily basis, so what's the point? The point is they have to be so visible. The parents want their child to look as different as possible. As I said, Gypsy Rose actually got her salivary glands removed when she didn't need to. She got something removed from her body that she didn't need to get removed. Gypsy had to take a lot of medication that she did not need. No physically healthy child needs puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. Not only do they not need the medication, it will destroy their bodies and their mental health. When hearing stories of victims of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, what we all think is, what were the doctors thinking? Where were the adults who were supposed to protect the children? Where were they? I found this person who was the doctor of a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Let's listen to what she has to say.
We sometimes come up against barriers in the legal system, and the same things always come up. It's like, what was the parent's intent? Could this just be an anxious mother? And I can say no. And then we might go to, well, this caused harm to the child. It says, do you want to try to defend this in front of a judge or a jury when you have a wonderful, loving mother who has a sick child? Are you going to be able to convince them medical care is child abuse?
Okay, so doctors are too scared to speak their minds because they're afraid to look like the villains if they deny these children life-saving care. Life-saving care. Have you heard about this before in another context? That's what trans activists say all the time. If children don't transition, they would not be alive anymore. Apparently it's not that uncommon for moms with Munchausen to threaten doctors with malpractice if they don't treat their children, if they don't diagnose the children, and so on. That right here sounds a lot like trans doctors who are too scared to speak their minds because they're afraid of getting fired. If they tell someone, no, you're not trans, I think you should wait a couple of years and come back maybe. I think you maybe deal with borderline disorder, autism, whatever. Trans doctors also have patients who blackmail them, literally.
The other day, while dressed up, he looked in the mirror and said, "Mommy, what am I?" So I asked him, "What do you feel like?" His response was that he felt like a girl and wanted to know if it was okay to be a girl even though he had a penis. My sweet son just came to me with 2 ponytail holders. He asked me to put his hair up like his sister's. I patiently managed to divide and put his little bowl cut into 2 Pippi Longstocking ponies. He looks so precious and very much like a girl.
Jazz Jennings, a biological male, has been affirmed as a girl since the age of 2. Just because Jazz wore a dress once or twice, played with his sister, Jazz's mom cried when Jazz asked her, "Mommy, what am I?" And also, "I want to be a girl." Well, no shit. The mom was confusing Jazz so much. But Jazz never expressed any gender discomfort. It was only, mommy, am I a girl? Mommy, am I a boy? I want to be a girl. That has nothing to do with gender dysphoria. A 2-year-old boy wearing a dress is not gender dysphoria. That's like, what, 60-70% of all men who did that as children? Or am I wrong? Jazz got diagnosed with gender dysphoria at the age of 3. Doctors gave Jazz puberty blockers when Jazz was 11, estrogen when Jazz was 14, and Jazz got the first out of 4 bottom surgeries at the age of 17. Jazz, a biological male, never got the opportunity to be a boy. Jazz cannot have orgasms, cannot have children, deals with severe anxiety, depression, eating disorders, all because of Jazz's mom not accepting that her son wanted to wear a dress maybe a couple of times and played with his sister. That is sick. That is truly sick that a mom would be upset to see her son wear a dress. That sounds like extreme homophobia to me, but I don't know. I know I don't know any of this for sure. I'm just reacting to what I've seen online, what I've heard from these people themselves. I'm not trying to diagnose anyone with any disorder, because I'm not a psychiatrist. The reason why I'm making this video is because I'm way too concerned about the similarities between moms who deal with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, who intentionally make their children sick in order to get attention, and then these trans families, trans children, who are all over TV, all over TikTok and YouTube, and it looks like the children don't suffer from gender dysphoria in any way. How disgusting is it that it's socially acceptable to transition your kids, even though you have no proof of them being trans, because children cannot be trans. We're talking about children, a group of people who are still developing. What can we all learn from Gypsy Rose's case? Don't believe everything that you see. Don't blindly believe that the children got the idea that they're trans. We all have to understand that abusive parents exist, which is depressing, but it's reality. It doesn't matter if these parents claim to have great intentions when lying about their children being sick or being trans, because in the end, the children are being harmed. Yes, you're harming a child if you give them puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries, of course. It is harmful, not okay, and not necessary. We have to protect our children. The doctor's job is to protect their patients, but they're not. They're too afraid of looking like the bad guy, of getting fired. Is it better to ruin a child's body then? You would like that more? Because that's disgusting. How can these doctors sleep at night? They prioritize their image, them having a job, than not harming children. To be fair, I can imagine it's hard to figure out if some mom deals with Munchausen, but when it comes to the trans children, it's a no-brainer. Leave them alone. Leave their bodies alone. They have a right to go through their natal puberty, and no adult should mess with that. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe.
All right, sorry
and the
guys. I'm in the
notification
middle
bell.
of
If you
doing
want to
something
support me
that's
in my work,
important.
my PayPal is in the description down below. You can also support me through locals.com or by becoming a member of this channel. I love you all, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace out.
Hold on a second. I have a question. In this section of providing information.
The 90s, a
No,
golden
no,
age in
no.
television and film that would inspire generations
Sorry,
of
I
pop
don't know-
culture, but also a hate.
I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm sorry. Actually, I should change the dono goal to 300 because I'm actually so the dispensary has like an ounce of wax for $300, which is so cheap. But I'm going to change it. That's what we're looking to get. And if I could get an ounce of wax, that's what I'm going to change it to. $300 dono goal for an ounce of fucking wax, since that's the problem. And if I could get this ounce of wax, I'll do a gram dab hit. If I could get that 300, I'll do a whole gram. I'll throw a whole gram on the fucking e-rig. I'll weigh it out and everything. We'll get silly fucking high today. But let's do something else. I don't all right, Maya, I think you're in the wrong chat, you little weirdo. Go back to Trisha's chat. You're in the wrong place, sweetie. It's sugar. It's sugar. It's not live resin. It's sugar. And it's definitely a fucking deal. And it's a good brand and it's a sealed fucking ounce. I thought that was lit as fuck. All right. So I want to get into her. Like I want to hear from her first before we go into like other people. Cause this shit is crazy to me. Oh my God, I forgot. Shimmy, shimmy, shake. Sorry, I had to shake it one time. Let's watch these, right? Let's watch these clips from her interview.
Do you miss your mom?
No.
Yeah, I miss my mom.
When you look back,
I don't think we should go into this first. I think first we should go into the story, right? And then we'll go into the back, like her currently. This was 3 years ago. I think I'm going to go to this one. Because I want something that's not currently. I don't want something that's going to paint her in this amazing light. HBO. This is an HBO documentary. Oh, this got everything in it.
Hey, Gypsy, is this Stan? Hi, Gypsy. Let you guys talk. I'm Detective Hancock from the County Sheriff's Office. How are you today? Good. You need to be honest with me. And if you're involved in anything that I'm about ready to tell you, then you need to tell me, okay? Your mom's dead, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay? Just, hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? What happened with your mom that night?
Okay, so she's acting like she doesn't know her mom's dead. You killed her. You were involved in her death. So why are you fake crying and pretending that you're so shocked? See, that to me, that shows way more.
I don't
listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? And I know that you know.
You think that it's me? Why would you think that it's me? I have always thought my mom and
So she was trying to get away with it. She was trying to act like she didn't know. Wow.
Listen to me. Please don't get yourself in this hole, and that's what you're doing. I know you do.
Here's the thing, like, and I don't think that her mom didn't love her. I think her mom was just sick.
I know you, sweetheart. I know you love your mom. I have no doubt that you love your mom. But why didn't it hurt her? Now's the time to be truthful, sweetheart. No more lies. Did you kill your mom?
No, sir.
Did you help Nicholas kill your mom?
Damn, that was a brutal picture of the mom's bloody hands. Golly.
Young lady, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and her mother, Dee Blanchard, from Springfield, Missouri, to the stage.
I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere up above. They come to you and me in our darkest hour.
Thank you, Miss Rudy. And I always said, you're the reason I was born to be your mama.
I mean, the mom was a sick lady.
Breaking news this morning, 48-year-old Dee Blanchard was found dead inside her home. Her 19-year-old daughter Gypsy is still considered missing.
It all started receiving a call on June 14th to check the well-being of a family.
Gypsy and Dee were Hurricane Katrina survivors. Everybody believed that they were coming here to the Ozarks to make a better life.
There was a Facebook post that was quite alarming. We were actually thinking that it was somebody that hacked into the Facebook and it was actually a threat.
Gypsy was in a wheelchair. She had leukemia, and she was having seizures, and she had to be tube fed.
As the sheriff, my primary responsibility at that time was really to ensure that her well-being was okay.
Whatever they were going through was incredibly hard for them, especially with the medical conditions. And so everybody gathered around them and would try to help them out as much as possible.
It just proves that happy endings are not just in fairy tales, they're real.
So this lady grifted heavily. Her whole life was afforded for by the kindness of others, right? The house was paid for by, I think, Project Hospitality or some shit. But the house was paid for, their bills, everything was afforded for because of Gypsy Rose's illness. I don't think it's such a great message that we're sending to Gypsy Rose that, yeah, what your mom did was wrong, but because you killed your mom, we're going to turn you into celebrity. You're never going to have to work for anything ever again because now you're an influencer. What?
The Facebook post was, quote, "The bitch is dead," and another post stating, "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so fucking loud, LOL."
Okay, good morning. I want to specify at the beginning of this press conference.
And I'm going to say this, like, the boyfriend, clearly sick fuck. Like, clearly a sicko has sick problems, but that's another person with mental illness. Probably had some type of savior complex and wanted to save this young, sick girl who was actually manipulating him.
This is an ongoing investigation.
That's the part that's sick. Gypsy Rose, bro, she doesn't have any mental incapacities. So she's manipulating us the way that she was manipulated.
Start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
The truth is, okay, I'll admit it. I did actually stab a girl. I will admit it. I know. Okay. The only reason I did it is because I did it for me, and that's the real reason I did it. I would have never did it if it was not for me. Okay.
So I know that he loves me and he would do anything for me and to be with me.
Did Gypsy know that you were going to kill her mother?
Honestly, she asked me to.
Okay.
Both Facebook postings were authored by Gypsy. The prosecutor has filed charges this morning for first-degree murder. This is a tragic event surrounded by mystery.
So the daughter wrote those Facebook posts. Normal.
And public deception. Gypsy can walk without assistance or a wheelchair, and she can do that very well. This individual is alleged to have conspired with Nicholas Godejohn to stab her mother to death so that they could be together. The penalty is life imprisonment or death.
Life imprisonment, but somehow she only got a few years.
Was a shock to friends and neighbors.
Is she sick?
I'm not. I don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out. Yes.
To see her walk was really upsetting. Obviously, if that's a lie, then who knows what all was a lie of.
We really don't know the true background of this family, as we have unearthed the appearance of a long financial fraud scheme.
The family got medical airlifts, Disney travel, and free housing over the years because of Gypsy's supposed disabilities.
It was a facade that translated online. Donations pouring in for Gypsy's reported muscular dystrophy and leukemia.
We have not confirmed the age of Gypsy. It appears that there is several date of births that have been used over a period of time.
I almost want to say, man, I can't believe I even wanted to associate. Why did I even help them? I just never would see that that little girl really wasn't who she was supposed to be.
State's Exhibit 53. Ask if you can tell me what that is. Ms. Blanchard is charged with murder in the first degree. When you commit a first-degree murder, you knowingly cause the death of another person after deliberation. Analysis of cell phones provided evidence of numerous text messages between Gypsy Blanchard and Nicholas Godejohn. Nicholas Godejohn was someone that Gypsy Blanchard met online. They began a online dating relationship. During the text, the two discussed Nicholas killing Claudine.
What the fuck? So, yes, we're praising this girl who did this.
At the beginning, it looks like a tabloid case. It looks like here's some people in some weird outfits and they're pretending to be disabled and they're scamming everybody. And then there's this like sort of horrible murder and the Facebook status that bitch is dead. Like all of it is very tabloid. And then gradually that story just sort of fell apart. Still, it feels to me like it's developing into something else.
Yeah, no. It's sugar. It's sugar.
Still ask the question, how do you kill your own mother? I mean, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be some abuse there. You don't just, I'm gonna kill my mother because I want to be with a boyfriend. Like I told my mom when I called my mom and talked to her about it. I said, Mama, I said, I was mad at you before. I said, but I've never, ever in a million years thought about killing you. I said, for me to think about killing you, I said, you'd have had to have done some pretty bad stuff to me.
Nobody wants to believe that something like this can happen. I think the initial reaction is that Gypsy's been lying to everybody. But when you look at the backstory, when you look at how we got here, this all started long before Gypsy would have ever had any type of say in what was happening.
Right from birth, 3 months old, Dee Dee was telling me that she had sleep apnea. And she needed a breathing
Is this the
machine,
dad?
Breathing monitor machine, which, I mean, to this day, I don't know if that was real or not. You know, it escalated from then. Problems with her eyes, hearing, her digestive system. After that, Gypsy couldn't walk anymore. She had a muscular disorder.
Yo, my dispensary just got shroom shots. They just sent me an email. They just got shroom shots. Yo, that's lit. They just got the 4-gram shroom shots. That's sick. I like that. I like that a lot. I got some.
Dee Dee told me she would need a wheelchair. You know, and I asked her, man, she's got a lot.
I told you guys, if you guys, I have those edibles. If somebody gives me like a donation, maybe I'll eat those edibles.
The issues, what's going on, you know, and they had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system. Dee Dee told me she's not gonna live to be, 18 years old. She may be an old teenager. That's about it. You know, I was like, really, it was shocking. It was disturbing, and to see her 23 years old now, perfectly healthy, it's It pisses me off, you know.
This picture here.
Bro, I definitely would do weed fire sales, but
this was the
nobody wants
surgery
those.
where she thought
No,
her
it's
stomach line.
it's not edible. It's not weed edibles. It's mushroom edibles. I said that. I would take the mushroom edibles on stream if I got a big enough donation. But it's not weed edibles. Yeah, fuck. It's not weed edibles. It's fucking mushroom. Mushies.
Wrapped around her esophagus.
No, she would have had that
Perfectly
earlier.
legal.
She had the feeding tube way before then. You know?
She was 10 here.
This was probably close to the first year or two when she was in a wheelchair. Yep.
Breaks my heart knowing she got put through all of this when she didn't need it.
14 years.
To be confined.
Last 14 years in a wheelchair.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, she's a victim. She was a victim. I agree 1000%. She was a victim, but that doesn't take away from the person that she ended somebody's life.
I've never encountered anything that is even close to what Gypsy has gone through. Her mother appeared to have taken great steps to keep Gypsy in a very juvenile role, making her act several years younger than her actual age. It appears that Gypsy was not even aware of what her actual age was.
I called her for her 18th birthday, and Dee Dee said, "Don't tell her she's 18." You know, I'm like, "What you mean? Don't tell her she's 18?" She said, "No, she's 18. It's her 18th birthday." Yeah, but she don't know she's 18. She, you know, thought it was weird. You know, she, I mean, always did know that she told me her mental capacity was, you know, like 5 years behind. You know, when she was.
But like, I feel bad for the dad because, like, bro, you're not that simple, are you? You really? It didn't raise a red flag.
Like 15, she was like, "Oh yeah, you know, her learning is coming along," but she's like, you know, mentally at like a 9 or 10-year-old.
She looks like she would be 10 and 11, and she was probably like 21, 22. I wonder what she was thinking.
Hello, everybody. This is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I am about to dive off our porch into the pile of snow. You ready?
It's hard to answer a lot of questions about who Gypsy is, right? Because she was somebody else for such a long time. And now we know her as almost a completely different person.
I'm Erin, as you remember.
Yeah, right. And that guy's in jail forever.
Feels they're getting the full story.
This is actually kind of the first time I've been honest. Besides being honest, you know, with my attorneys. Even that, I haven't been completely honest with them, so...
It's so funny. I killed my mom. Giggle, giggle. It's not funny. It's not funny. I don't find it funny.
How would you describe your mom?
Unique. I mean, I used to always think that maybe she's a little overprotective. So if I had to...
So funny. I'm such a darling figure, ain't I?
You're one. And where's your cranial? Very good. And where's your findalis? Yes. Very, very good. I really didn't think any abuse was going on. It's like when you're abused, but you've lived that way your whole life, you don't really know that you're being abused. You don't know any different.
I mean, you knew that your mom was telling you to lie to people saying you couldn't walk. You knew that.
I knew that I was different, or my life was different from other kids, but people thought of us as, you know, the sweetest mother-daughter family ever. The best two people in the world.
What illnesses did your mom say that you had?
Asthma, epilepsy, hearing impaired, vision impaired, fed with a feeding tube, paralyzed from the waist down, slow, so retardation, and among other things, I just can't remember them.
Paralyzed from the waist down, by the way.
I was on breathing medication, medication for seizures, medication to help go to the bathroom, pain medication, anxiety medication, just everything. I would have to put on the breathing machine every night. I hated it though because it seemed to make my breathing worse, not better.
Listen.
And then another...
What she went through was awful, but what she did was worse. I'm sorry. Like, what she went through was terrible, but like, she should not be a celebrity and an influencer now. She killed her mom. The fuck? Like she did the worst possible thing that you could do. Like, she's not a survivor. She went and did the worst possible thing you could do when you're abused. She became the abuser.
It was controlling what I'd eat. My medications would be put through there. I really wouldn't even have to be awake, so she could put whatever in my body and I wouldn't even know.
So where are you going today? I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist for my teeth.
And we'll be back.
And we'll be back soon.
Not yet.
That's just so wild to me.
Before the doctor, she would do all the talking.
We live in a sick
I always had a
age.
stuffed animal or a Barbie doll. She'd just tell me, just play with my Barbie doll. If the doctor would come to examine me, just stay in the wheelchair, be calm, play with your doll, and don't move your legs. I was just as much in the dark as everybody else. The only thing I knew is that I could walk. As for everything else, you know, the leukemia, the epilepsy, I was taking medication that she said was cancer medicine. She would shave my head and say, well, it's gonna fall out anyway, so let's just keep it nice and neat.
But you knew that you could walk. Why are you in a sink?
I just went on blind faith that a mother knows best.
You're supposed to love and protect your children. How could you do this to your child?
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was as...
She was mentally ill, though. The woman was mentally ill. Yeah, no, listen. I don't... Like, I understand that this girl did what she felt she needed to do to get out of a bad situation. I'm more condemning society as a whole for now making this girl an influencer. I'm sorry, but what the fuck does a murderer... What is a murderer going to tell me about makeup? Like, why do I want to go to a murderer about makeup? I'm sad about it. Like, I'm sad at the state of this world that really why are we making this famous? This doesn't deserve to be famous.
consistently and viciously subjected to, in my opinion, Munchausen by proxy as anyone I've come across. Munchausen by proxy involves a caregiver who either feigns or actually induces illness in her children, and her goal is some kind of emotional gratification, looking for sympathy, attention, care, concern that she feels unable to get in any other way. It is a form of child abuse, first and foremost.
The earliest surgery that I can remember probably would be having my feeding tube put in. You have to have it constantly changed, like every 6 months. And that would be pretty painful because they don't put you under anesthesia. They just take you in the emergency room, rip the old one out, and put a new one in.
I don't know why these procedures were done or how her mother was able to convince the doctors. Mind-boggling is the only way I can put her ability to manipulate people. Basically, each one of these paper clips is some medical record where Dee Dee essentially lied to the doctor about something. Mentally, Gypsy is behind. She's at the level of a 7-year-old on mother's information. And this is something that you see almost across all of the records is upon mother's information, upon history by mother. So she's talking to the doctor here, and she's talking about how she has mental and developmental delays, needs assistance. Apparently, while holding her hands over Gypsy's ears so as not to offend, history of mental retardation, 7-year-old level per mom. And so this was the one time where a doctor actually put in the record that Dee Dee's got her hands over Gypsy's ears. So Gypsy can't even hear what mom is telling the doctor. Then we get into the family history. The family history changed depending on what doctor she was at. Mm-hmm. You'll notice here, we don't get a whole lot of...
She's at the cardiologist.
Right, she's at the cardiologist, and so they all died of a heart attack. Now, this was the first one that jumped out at me. She ends up going to the neurologist, Dr. Flasterstein. And so, very first thing right off the bat, mother is not a good historian, which is interesting because he puts that in bold and underlines it.
One of the things was a big discrepancy was that for a person that has not walked for 9 years, she should have technically almost no muscles in her lower extremity.
Yeah, her lower extremity should be atrophied.
Quite normal. And she was able to support her body weight. I remember her standing. So I had a big doubt about the whole thing from the beginning.
He says, since last seen, I managed to talk to one of her previous providers. She specifically remembers Gypsy Rose and mentioned that her previous neurologist clearly reported the fact that Gypsy does not have muscular dystrophy. Analyzing all the facts, and after talking to her previous pediatrician, there's a strong possibility of Munchausen by proxy, with maybe some underlying unknown etiology to explain her symptoms.
once in a while, we report patients to social services. We do that when we feel that there's a neglect. But a neglect is different what this mom was doing. She wasn't really neglecting her. She was over treating her. We have a system, which is a big integrated system, that decided to adopt her and bring her, support her. So many people looking at her, knowing the history, knowing what she was going through, knowing what she went through, I would have been rejected at the spot. So all what I could do is put that in my note. Nobody in the system ever said anything about it, and I didn't see it right to keep going and convincing other people, oh, something is not right.
I forgot to tell you guys, I got my Carter back.
Here's the interesting thing. This is the last record from Mercy here in Springfield until 2015. So this is 2007.
8 years.
What I couldn't figure out was how Dee Dee figured out that Dr. Flasterstein was on to her. But if you look at a lot of these social work notes, Dee Dee's requesting medical records. She would have gotten a copy of this letter.
But I still don't understand why you put your child through this.
I don't know.
Because she's mentally ill.
The thing is, I mean, it just keeps going. I mean,
And it would have kept going.
What up,
Because
Gish?
her mama was an insane, compulsive liar.
Dee Dee and I met at the bowling alley one night. Met up again a couple of weeks later, and we started dating then. She got pregnant. And being from the South, I guess, I was raised where, you know, you got a girl pregnant and, you know, you got married. There was no other question about what you did. I was 17. I woke up on my 18th birthday and I'm like, what am I doing here?
17, married to this bitch?
She started talking a little bit about witchcrafts and just different weird dark stuff like that. It was
This poor
kind of
country
weird,
guy.
like tarantula.
Dee Dee was my aunt. Real weird girl. I would think she's bipolar, no doubt. Multiple personalities, perhaps.
This guy looks like a cholo.
An evil person, I would say, you know?
He sounds like a cholo. Is he a cholo? Was Dee Dee Hispanic that we don't
Shave
know?
a kid's head and say that she's got leukemia. You're a sick individual.
He looks kind of like Hector, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my gosh.
What was Dee Dee like as a child?
Do what, baby?
What was Dee Dee like as a child?
What was Dee Dee like?
Dee Dee? She was okay. We were pretty close, me and her. Yeah, I'd give her everything that she wanted anyway. Whatever she wanted. And
Damn, this guy is super fucking Cajun.
kept a dog in the house. I didn't want that. Now we wind up, we got 2 dogs in the house.
You know?
But
He's super
there's something
Cajun.
else.
Look at this in his accent.
She was a very filthy person. If it didn't go her way, she'd see to it that you would pay. And did we pay? Paid a lot.
She opened up credit cards with my dad's name, my grandpa's name, ran up crazy bills. Supposedly, America's Most Wanted was looking for this girl.
The minute she'd set foot on the bar, the law would have arrested her.
Yeah,
She
was
had made
wanted.
bad checks in Slidell,
Slidell, she was wanted.
bad checks in New Orleans.
Wherever she went, she was doing all kind of stuff.
She was poisoning my stepmother. Supposedly, she was giving her some Roundup in her food and stuff.
She was putting some poison in my food, the same thing she had put in the plant.
And she wind up, she stayed 9 months in bed. After that, she couldn't get up. I didn't think she was gonna make it.
There was nothing she couldn't get away with.
Yo, so her mom, this bitch crazy too.
Her mama was a little bit like her.
It's a little bit sped up, but they're from Louisiana. They have a Cajun accent.
Yeah, her mama too. Her mama was a shoplifter and all kind of stuff. I remember every time she had to go to court for shoplifting and other
She'd
stuff
go
like
to the
that.
washateria, she'd steal the people's clothes. She had stolen how much money from your daddy?
Oh, when we first got married, she had stolen, I think it's $3,000 or $4,000 from my daddy.
I think ever since my grandmother died, Dee Dee kind of went off the deep end.
The day that her mom died, Dee Dee was in the house somewhere, and Dee Dee was starving her. Like Dee Dee wasn't giving her anything to eat. I asked her sister, I was like, I hate to ask this, but you think Dee Dee had anything to do with her mom's death? And she, said, now I wonder. That's how evil she was.
To leave your mama dirty and asking for food and not want to feed her, that's evil.
Were you sad at all when you heard she was dead?
Me? I didn't believe it.
I didn't.
It just didn't sink. It took a few days before You know, I didn't believe that she was dead. I thought it was another one of her tricks.
I was like, who did Dee Dee piss off now? You know, what kind of shit did Dee Dee get into? I wasn't thinking, oh my God, my aunt's dead. Because I figured that one day she pissed off somebody to that point, you know? And I actually did think that it'd probably be Gypsy, you know? And whenever we later got the word that Gypsy was fine and she was by her boyfriend's house, we're like, she killed her mom. She finally did. She couldn't take it anymore, you know? She finally just said, fuck it all. I'm killing this bitch.
Do you think she got what she deserved?
According to
Yes.
the user, yes.
Yeah, she got what she deserved.
And all the brothers and sisters don't care about Dee no more. Gypsy, she got cremated. She said, "What you want me to do with the ashes?" Everybody said, "I don't want her. I don't want her."
Flush them.
I told her, flush that in the toilet.
Her sister said, flush that in the toilet.
She said, "We're gonna bring that in Mama's room, make her mask and everything." I said, "You gonna pay for it?" I'm not paying for it.
Damn!
I said, "Flush it in the toilet."
Damn, son. Family don't give no fucks. They like, fuck that bitch. She was evil. Evil. No, I have no. How can I help you, sir? I have nothing to say to you.
Where have you been? Where have you been?
I've been literally right here.
I heard you got new teeth. I heard you're doing better. What's up?
Yeah, I don't consort with people like you. So
Yeah, you do.
No, I definitely don't.
All right, listen. I stick up for you a lot. I hope everything's going well for you.
Definitely don't stick up for me. Definitely talk about me. Definitely just talked about me pretty recently. You're kind of fucking weird.
Okay. I'm teasing. I'm glad you're doing better anyway. I just want to tell you that, in real. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Control.
Yeah,
Love you.
That was Noodles, ladies and gentlemen. That was fucking Noodles.
Prosecutors have decided not to seek the death penalty against a Springfield woman and her boyfriend, both of whom are accused
This
of
is
murder.
the safest space on
The
YouTube.
announcement comes after several
This
conversations between the defense.
is the safest space on YouTube. I'm gonna stand by that. Welcome to my safe space, but it's only safe for me and for the people that I fucking like. Just remember that it is a safe space. It's a safe space for the people that I like and the people that like me. And the rest of you can get fucked. Go to the owls if you need a safe space.
And prosecution both agreeing this was the best decision.
Being a prosecutor, the standard is to do what's right and what's just. When you look at the mitigators as well as the background of these individuals as we know it, as well as the facts of the case, this case was not an appropriate first-degree murder case in which to seek the death penalty.
This is a case that we haven't dealt with.
Okay,
And it's because
so-
it's so unusual.
So we shouldn't seek the death penalty. Okay, great. I agree. We shouldn't seek the death penalty. But we also shouldn't make this person a celebrity. Like, we also shouldn't be like, oh, Gypsy Rose, you killed your mom, but slay queen. Like, no, that's not cool.
I mean, it really is an unusual case.
We live in a crazy
What we
world
thought
that's
potentially maybe
normal.
A victim turns out to be a suspect, and in the middle of this story that is twisted, we think we know who Gypsy is, but once this trial starts, we'll be able to see her life unfold and find out exactly what she was all about.
All right, back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Gypsy loved Disney because they were stories that resolved in happy ways. And ultimately, her story was not resolving in a happy way.
You gotta wait.
I
Un
liked
momento, por
Disney.
favor. I have Ace of Base stuck in my head.
movie Tangled.
Don't turn
It's about
around,
Rapunzel.
cause you're gonna see my heart
She's a princess in this
breaking.
kingdom, and she's kidnapped by Mother Gothel from her real family. And Mother Gothel keeps her in this tower for all of her life and tells her, don't leave this tower. So that is all she knows.
I think that Gypsy just wanted her life to be like any fairy tale princess and have the perfect ending.
That's literally everyone.
You know, all the bad villains get what they deserve.
At the end, Mother Gothel died. She got thrown out a window because Rapunzel tried to stand up for herself. And
Yes,
leave
I
the tower.
tweeze my
So in
part.
Disney movies, everything's
Does she not know
fantasy.
how
It's a
parts
fairy
work?
tale, and life is not a fairy tale. I learned all that the hard way.
I don't think calling Gypsy's life sheltered would do it justice. I've kind of come to describe it as a fairy tale nightmare. Her mother controlled almost every aspect of her life.
The control was total,
excuse
in the same
me.
sense that the control of a kidnapped victim sometimes is total. Her daughter was in essence a hostage, and I think we can understand the crime that occurred subsequently in terms of a hostage trying to gain escape.
Anytime Gypsy and I were together, her mom was always present. She was immediately like a filter for us. You know, like Gypsy wouldn't talk about anything personal while we were together. That's like really the big red flag, thinking back on it all now.
Dee Dee would always hold Gypsy's hand. You know, it was like, I don't know, it was almost like, you know, just if I squeeze it, you'll know what to say. I mean, that was just so strange to me. Just to feel it now, I think that was really strange. Even in videos I've seen since then, I'm like, yep, it's the same thing. It's like she's holding her hand. I mean, now it was maybe a control thing.
The hand
Aw,
holding.
poor
and the tight
Twisha.
hug
She didn't get
is a
enough.
way of asserting mastery over another
She didn't
person
get
and
enough
saying,
attention
"You're not
from me
free.
today. She wants
You're
more.
under my control at all times, even in relatively benign situations like our being photographed, getting the Habitat for Humanity home. You know, those are innocuously happy occasions, but there were also occasions where Dee Dee reasserted her mastery over Gypsy.
If we were in a group of friends, you know, if I said something that I wasn't supposed to, she'd squeeze my hand. And I know. I was just afraid, just too afraid.
I have a strong feeling that the extent of the control over her, heavily psychological as it was, would have involved physical punishment as well.
She'd hit me with a coat hanger. Or her.
I don't think, like, it's not a debate if this girl was abused or not. She was abused, but her reaction, her response to said abuse is just not acceptable, especially to make this young girl like some type of celebrity role model type of thing. It's just odd.
Or her palm. And I'd have to take so many slaps for depending on how severe it was I did.
Did you ever try to hit back?
Never. Never.
It's like if you have a baby and you like get in its face and the baby starts to struggle and get away from you. Now picture that happening for your whole life. Right? Your mother is just in your face and will not get away. That's basically what Gypsy's whole life was like.
It's snowing. I'm not joking. They said it's snowing, so I'm staying under my heating blanket. And I'm not getting out. She wants to get out. Ain't gonna happen. Let her dog take care of her.
Oh!
Her mother was so suffocating, so powerful, so manipulative, that Gypsy may have felt that any efforts to escape were bound to fail.
The first time I ran away from home, I had met a friend. We both went to this sci-fi fantasy convention called VisionCon. I had told him vaguely about what was going on at home. He told me, you know, just pack your stuff and you can come live with me in Arkansas. And I said, okay. I snuck out, got a ride from a stranger, and went over to his place, and then within like 4 hours, my mom found me at his place because we had mutual friends in common. So she was starting to call the cops on him. And she took me back home and smashed my computer with a hammer, smashed my cell phone with a hammer, and said, if you ever try to do that again, I'm gonna smash your fingers with a hammer. It was a rough year. I call that the bad times. She had taken this dog leash and clipped it to a pair of handcuffs and clipped the handcuffs to the bed and kept it was like that for about 2 weeks. My mom had actually convinced a lawyer to draw up some papers saying that I was incompetent. So I thought if I had tried to go to the police, they'd look at these papers and say, she's retarded, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Gypsy has essentially fallen through every crack there is in the system. The Greene County Sheriff's deputies came out to the house on an anonymous report.
Did it?
That Gypsy was potentially being abused. And they came to the house, they spoke with Dee Dee, and Dee Dee did exactly what she does all the time. She manipulated the police officers, showed...
See the little bit harder. See the little bit longer. See the whole day.
them a few things, and they left. And at that point, Gypsy has absolutely nowhere else to turn.
Literally everyone failed her. Literally.
The owls
The
are
doctors
next.
who were positioned as there to help her didn't help her. Her father, who I think was in a very difficult position, couldn't help her.
Yeah, okay.
Supposed to think anybody
Her dad could have helped her. He's just too stupid.
could.
I was just kind of at that point where you're like, I'm angry at the world, and this is unfair. Why couldn't anybody figure this out before it got this bad?
Over here, baby.
We all kind of did see how Gypsy was being treated by Dee Dee. Not that it was like horrible, beating the shit out of her in the back room with a freaking cable, you know? She was just, she put her in a wheelchair and told her, oh, your leg's messed up.
But none of y'all did anything.
Her sister told me once, Rod, you know, Gypsy can walk. And I asked Dee Dee about it. She's like, well, you know, with her muscular dystrophy or with her disease, her muscles hurt sometimes. So sometimes she can walk when she's feeling okay, but it's progressive. It's going to get worse. And it wasn't long after that they were, you know, they started moving further and further away. And, you know, there's nobody there to question that anymore, you know.
But that's still, that was still your child, and you did nothing about it, sir. Like, you didn't care enough about your child to actually, like, I don't know, maybe go to the doctor, find out, hey, is my kid actually dying from leukemia? Like, what's actually going on with my child?
All of the doors had been closed. Family, friends, the police. I think that Gypsy felt she had no other avenue.
Yes, she had no other option but unaliving her mom. Okay, sure. Listen, listen. I don't want to sound like, oh, well, I'm not blaming her. Like, okay, maybe killing her mom was her only option, right? Maybe killing her was the only option, but for us to glorify her and now make her like this, she's a hero? No.
Through a Christian dating website. He was one of the profiles that I saw. Thought he was cute, so I checked him out, sent him a wink. He sent me one back.
Once you met on there, what happened?
We got closer on there and we connected more and more.
This guy seems like he has some disabilities.
The way that we clicked, we somehow just knew we were right for each other. 4 days later, we started a relationship together.
Gypsy had no template for romance. It wasn't this sort of heightened Prince Charming narrative. And Nick just happened to be there. His background equipped him with a bad narrative in different ways. So it was like two bad narratives collided with each other.
What kind of person, if somebody never met, what kind of person is Nick?
He's pretty quiet to himself. You know, I mean, we always tell him he's got to get out and mingle. You know, a lot of people just like, oh, I'm afraid getting backstabs. Everybody backstabs you.
Yeah.
He has autism, you know, Asperger's. And
Has he been diagnosed with autism and Asperger's?
Yes.
Okay.
Last doctor we talked to, they said his mind is probably always going to be 15, 16, right around there.
At first, it was all lighthearted. You know, if you got married, where would you like to have your honeymoon? You know, where would you like to get married? Where are all the places you want to travel? Different things like that.
Sorry, but
No.
I stand on what I said earlier about she manipulated homeboy, and he's in jail for life.
And as it progressed, things got weird. He started talking about something called BDSM. And at first I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up. And once I looked it up, I was like, I don't want to do this.
I don't know what
And,
BDSM is
then
really.
he
I
kinda
kind of
talked
do,
me
but
into it, and it's like, it'll be fine, you know, just try this with me. And so I agreed to it. I was taught that a woman's role is to be submissive, and the man is dominant. So I didn't think it was that outlandish. Then his ex had messaged me, and she told me, you know, he's a really bad guy. He thinks he's a vampire, and he's into all this dominant, submissive stuff. And I was thinking, it's just an ex, you know, she's just bad-mouthing him. She doesn't know anything. She's jealous, blah, blah, blah. She was right.
Godejohn also has a criminal past. In 2013, he was arrested after investigators say he was watching pornography and fondling himself in a McDonald's restaurant for 9 hours.
Ew!
He found a large knife during the arrest.
I really don't know what's wrong with him. But, I mean, it's not like I ever...
But her like laughing, I really don't know what's wrong with him. That's weird.
had a boyfriend before, so I really didn't know what was a normal relationship.
I don't know how much he told you about me, but there's actually multiple personalities of myself.
Have you been diagnosed with that?
I probably should be diagnosed with it because it just happens. The thing is, I used to take a medication, and I used to hear voices in my head, and it went away, then it somehow went as part of myself.
Okay.
So,
Does Gypsy know that?
yes, she does know that.
Okay.
Does this guy have like DID?
His multiple personalities would come out, and he had talked to me one day, and he was just like, you know, I would like my other personalities to have a girlfriend, so I made up some individual personalities to match his other personalities.
No, I'm not.
The one beside of her, his name is Kitty. It's like a little girl inside of her. You got another one called Candy. She hasn't.
So you mean to tell me that this girl is out here taking all these photos and this, that, and the third, and she... Come on now.
Stuff as well. Just to call her Ruby.
It was deaf, dumb, blind love. And sometimes it's a bit crazy love.
One of the most interesting things about this case is that no matter how much control you have over an individual, you can't stop adolescent sexuality from blossoming. Her whole life, this had been a subject that was forbidden to her. And ultimately, that turned into a really destructive force.
Probably about a year into our relationship,
A year they were together? What the hell?
just couldn't lie to him anymore. And I just told him everything.
Why didn't nobody know she could walk?
Her mom wanted everyone thinking that she was like 16 the entire time. So, yeah, she felt kind of trapped on a wheelchair when I actually was trying to encourage her to be able to walk more and more and more.
It really didn't come up like, I want you to kill her. But he had said, I'll protect you from anybody. And
Okay, I don't think this guy has the capacity to really lie like that. He said that you asked him to kill her, and I believe that. I'm sorry. This bitch is lying. She's lied about a few things so far. She's lying.
I said, anybody? And he said, yeah. And I said, even my mom? And he said, yeah. And that's where it kind of developed from there on. We'd call it Plan B. But we always pushed it back. You know, it was just a thought. It was never a reality. We'll consider other options. We had planned a meeting at the movie theater. I and my mom was going to go see Cinderella, the live-action version of Cinderella. And I was like, this is a perfect time for us to meet. I'll buy your ticket, and you come to the movie theater, we'll meet. Like, we're just meeting as new friends, and it's going to be perfect.
She wanted to have sex with me, so I did.
Okay, she wanted to have sex with you?
Yes.
Wow, did her mom know?
We kept it from her mom.
Okay. Where did you have sex at in the theater?
It was in a bathroom.
Okay, in a girl's bathroom or boy's bathroom?
She just took me to the boys' bathroom. I didn't have any choice. I went right into the boys' bathroom. She was okay with it.
Okay, okay. And then what happened after you guys had sex at the theater?
We went to our movie and watched it.
They're all looking at you.
Believe me, they're all looking at you.
I don't know what it was, but apparently the night got ruined in some way. I was trying to understand what was going on with her mom.
She despised him. She was like, he's creepy, he's weird, he's coming to see a kid's movie alone by himself. And now looking back on it, yeah, it is weird. We were the only people at the movies.
But he didn't come to go see a kid's movie alone by himself. He went to go see a movie with you.
And he didn't have a kid with him or a girlfriend or nothing. He's just this guy going to see this chick movie.
He went to the movie to see you, to be... Again, with the smile. It's so funny, I killed my mom. I can't.
Couldn't you have said that you have a friend and you want to introduce them? Well, I would have had no way to meet him. You know, I can't say, you know, I met him online, or she was all the time with me, so it would be no other time to meet him. Once all of those...
What up,
plans
Prissy
fell
Chrissy?
apart, I just got desperate. He took a Greyhound bus. I managed to scrape up enough money to pay for him a ticket. And the next day, we went to the grocery store, came back home. She went to sleep very, very late. And I was up texting Nick. We painted each other's nails.
Oh, are you gonna fake cry now?
We had just recently gotten into an argument, and we had made up. And I said I was gonna be a good girl. And then when she went to sleep, I guess I hurt her feelings or something. And she said, I'm starting to feel more relaxed. Don't hurt me. The last word she said to me was, don't hurt me.
Yeah, he went to the movie theater alone.
I went into the bathroom. I got kind of in a fetal position and I covered my ears. And then I heard my mom wake up. And then she sounded startled. And there was some noises that I can't make out. And I heard her say my name a couple times. And she said, help me. And then there was just silence.
Did she scream?
This is about as clear a premeditated murder as I've ever seen. It's brutal.
Damn, son, why are you showing that? I don't want to see that.
It would be very hard.
Oh my God.
A moment of being taken aback.
Why? I did not need to see that. Holy.
And
No.
Okay, you didn't kiss her or
Nope.
lick her or anything like that?
No.
Okay. What do you think about people that have sex with dead bodies?
It's quite disturbing, honestly.
Okay, that would bother you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like necrophilia.
Okay, because I think one of the things that she might have said was that you had mentioned that you'd like to rape her mom.
Yeah, at one point I was thinking about it.
Okay.
he had wanted to rape my mother. That's what he wanted to do. He was like, I'm gonna kill her, but I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna rape her. So what I did was I made a deal with him. I'd let him rape me, and then he wouldn't do that to my mom.
So you guys have sex?
Yes.
And what kind of sex? What is sex like to you?
Well, so to me, the kind of sex that it was pretty much was 100% consensual. Is what I'm
Okay.
looking for. Yeah.
Like, are you biting her? Are you punching her? You?
No, I would never lay my hands on her.
Okay.
I didn't even bite her at all, actually. Not for a long time.
She's got light hickeys.
That is. The very first time she was starting to hear that was a turn on of hers is biting. I bit her twice.
Okay.
The first time I can't remember. The second time I can remember though because I bit her a lot harder the second time.
Okay.
However, she seems to still enjoy it even when it was really hard.
Technically, once we got to that point, I screamed for him to stop, and he didn't. So I don't consider it to be consensual.
I barely felt any pleasure actually.
Okay. All right. Is there a reason you didn't feel pleasure?
I don't know. It's really hard to say. I did make her have an orgasm once.
Okay.
And then after that, she might have blew me a little bit, and then after that, I think we stopped because we realized there's a lot of packing and stuff to do.
Okay. So you guys get everything packed, wipe down the fingerprints, and then what do you guys do?
We get a taxi and we get to the hotel.
Hi, honey. I'm filming this. He's eating a brownie. But later he will be eating me. I loved Nick very much at that time, and being with him felt exciting because I was with someone I loved and someone I thought cared for me. We took a Greyhound bus back to Wisconsin. My mind wasn't thinking back to what was at my house. I just kept thinking, I'm free, and that excitement of being free and walking. I always referenced myself to this little bluebird that was trapped in an invisible cage. And I felt like this bluebird was set free.
Did you guys talk about your future? What was your plans for your future?
We wanted to have a family together, and we wanted to build a life together, and so we thought we really had a chance to do it, so we were happy about that.
Does your mom and stepdad know what you did?
No, they don't.
And this is the first time they ever met Gypsy?
Yeah, in person, yes.
Okay. And they agreed to let her live there?
Yep.
Okay. What did you think about Gypsy?
You know, it was weird because when I picked him up from the bus station, I even asked her, how's your mom doing? How's your leg? Because I was told she was in a homeless shelter. Her mom kicked her out. So I asked her how her mom was doing. This might have been the first thing I asked her. And they, no big deal. They acted like nothing.
What was your impression? I mean, did you feel like there was anything wrong? Did you feel like everything was good?
Everything seemed normal. The only thing that freaked me out is she was wearing a wig.
Okay. Did you remember getting in the mail an envelope or anything addressed to Nick or Gypsy or anything like that?
There was one that just came in Saturday. I have no idea what was in it.
That was my next question.
I don't go through mail.
Okay.
Maybe I should.
That was the knife that he had stabbed her to death with. They mailed it from their house there to your house.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am.
What the
And that was located in your house.
Why would they do that?
I think there was a little around $4,000 to $5,000 of cash that they had stolen from her mom right before she left. Did you see the Facebook post where it says, okay, that's right. Well, on Dee and Gypsy's Facebook post that they share, there are some horrible messages that were posted on there that said, like, I believe like they slashed her, or like I slashed her, I killed her, and then I raped the girl, and the girl's dead too. Well, those all were actually posted by Gypsy.
That's the thing. Like, I don't understand how people are like turning this chick into like, oh, well, she's a celebrity now. But like, look at all this crazy shit that she did.
It was Gypsy who went online to announce, you know, that bitch is dead. And to go even further and describe a scenario where she was raped is just perverse. It implies a fair degree of sociopathy.
Just the way the girl acted. I mean, how can you
So yeah, so
do something?
we're literally glorifying a sociopath. Where the guy said it.
Your mother, lose your mother, and just act like that. I was like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
I mean, they acted like two normal people. Yeah. You know, that's what's really freaky. Yeah. How can you do that?
Gypsy might have been a mastermind there herself. I think it's almost anybody's instinct. Oh shit, you murdered your mother. You know, watch that girl. Don't turn your back; she might stab you.
I do think Gypsy is potentially dangerous. Dee Dee was a master manipulator, and it's impossible that Gypsy would not have picked this up and used it.
I don't know what she was putting in my stepson's head. Yeah. You know.
I think he's madly in love with this.
I know. I mean, that's the way it works, though. When you have what he has, it's like your mind focuses on one thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Do you think that if Gypsy hadn't asked you to kill her mom, you'd ever killed her mom?
I know I wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
No, I never watched any of this stuff, Q. None of it. I'm like new to it.
Ruin his life over that. I'm sorry, but
This is a very good documentary, though.
She now doesn't have a language beyond manipulation and retaliation.
What have I been saying the whole time? That this bitch manipulated that dude. She manipulated him to do her dirty work, and now he's in jail forever, and she's a celebrity.
I mean, is she taking any sort of, you know, is she like, well, okay, it was me too, or is she trying to put it all?
She takes some responsibility, but not much. Not much at all.
Did you kill your mom?
No, no, sir.
Did you help
No, sir.
Nicholas kill your mom?
No, sir.
No.
Did you have knowledge that Nicholas was going to kill your mom before he did it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sit tight for me, okay?
I wonder if people feel that Gypsy is telling them the truth now.
Hello.
Gypsy Rose.
She's a manipulator.
When she called me.
Hey, my sweetie.
Hi, it's Christy.
Yes, baby.
Hi. Oh my God, it's so good to hear your voice.
At that time, she still wasn't trusting really anyone. She was still not telling Mike everything.
I'm innocent. It's a complicated situation, but what they say on the news is not true.
Then we went in the courtroom. And that's when they showed all the text messaging. And when they said they were presenting that, she turned around and looked at us with fear in her eyes. I guess she didn't think that they were going to pull all of those messages up.
Did you feel like it?
Yeah, I did.
You were lied to.
They didn't get caught red-handed, but they got caught red-handed. You know, they have a lot of evidence. They have the murder weapon, text, videos.
That's really
no
cute.
doubt they did it or planned it and everything. So it's just a matter of why they did it. You know, and is that reasonable?
Are you happy that your mom is not here to abuse you anymore?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not happy that she's dead. No, I didn't want that. I know it sounds strange to plan something and go through the steps to make it happen, and then, but at the same time, not want it to happen.
One of the problems is that it demands that people have this one intention in this one moment in time and be certain about it. And I'm not sure that that really happens. And especially in this case, I'm not sure that it happens. It's possible that Gypsy had ultimately ambivalent feelings about killing her mother. I wonder what she was thinking in the other room listening to her mother screaming sometimes.
I didn't think anything.
Yeah, okay.
I was scared. I was shaking. I didn't have a thought in my brain.
This innocent victim
It was like it
thing
was all
is
not
not
real.
gonna work. You stop being a victim.
And I know that's no excuse, but on saying
Yo, shorty, you stop being a victim the minute that you became an adult, number one, and you decided that you were going to cancel your mother. Okay, you stopped being a victim the moment that you decided to cancel your mom.
I felt like I had no emotion and I wasn't thinking right.
Munchausen by proxy victims can lose contact with reality at times, and that may be part of the defense in Gypsy's case.
I think
She
this
may have
lady needs a
trouble
lot
distinguishing
more
between
than
is sickness
I think she needed a lot more than jail. I think she needed jail, but I think that she should have also got a lot of therapy. And the fact that she's now a celebrity is crazy.
real or is it fake? Is death real or is it exaggerated or fake? So I think she had limited capacity for reality testing, which just means seeing what's normal behavior and what's really strange behavior.
Gypsy grew up in essentially an alternate reality to what the rest of us live. By her mother isolating her from the outside world, she doesn't know or understand what normal really is.
In so many ways, I don't know what's right, what's wrong. But to say that, yes, I did this, I'm sorry for it, I feel bad for it, it just feels good to be honest.
Are you being honest, though? Are you?
The only thing that I could have done differently that I know better now is reach out to my dad, told my dad. And he could have came and got me.
See, that's the thing. Like, you tried to run away from home to go kick it with your friends, but you didn't tell your dad. You never thought to say, hey, Dad, I can walk. Like, never thought, hey, Dad, Mom's abusing me. Can you help? Like, I can't understand why she explained all this to a stranger, this dude, but not her dad. Like, your dad could have got you out of that situation, sis. I don't know, just a lot of it. It's like, that wasn't, we keep forgetting that there was a whole dad out there. It's not like her mom was her only parent. There was a whole father out there. She could have at any point been like, hey, Dad, Mom is abusing me. I'm not actually sick. I can walk. What up, Lori?
That's the McDonald's right here where we visited Gypsy. At that time, she was real young. I remember one visit, she was so scared of me, man. She was shaking. I don't know what Dee Dee told her about me, but probably was a big bad wolf or something, you know. Gypsy must have been so confused, you know. Probably telling her the day before that, you know, I don't love her and all this stuff, and then here she is visiting with me and telling her, look, that's your daddy. Give him a hug, you know. That's old history now.
Okay, now, what you just said, big ups. I agree with you, right? Haven't you ever heard of grown women killing their abusive spouse because they didn't think there was another way? Well, imagine, okay, valid. We don't then make those women celebrities. We don't glorify them. We send them to jail and we forget about them. So my question is, why are we turning this one into celebrity?
So we're just going to try to build a real father-daughter intimate relationship, you know, like we should have.
It was hard. Taking what she's going to have to go through, and then she didn't have to go through all that.
Look at that. She'd probably been a perfectly fine kid. Had it not been her mom.
She stopped being a victim when she decided to kill her mom, and that's my point. And the fact that she's now a celebrity is mind-boggling.
She gets out, and I don't know what she's going to do when she gets out.
She was punished enough to where they should let her go free. That's the way I feel. Because the child, she's been through a lot.
Look at her. Yeah, when she was normal.
I blame myself now for not doing more. I mean, it is what it is. You know, I'm not a blame yourself type of guy, but who else is there to look at, you know?
I'm just speaking to the glorification of her, but I'm also speaking to, like, that wasn't her only option, but also the whole, like, manipulation of the dude. That part of it is wild.
This is, sorry, I didn't realize they were going to bring you out immediately. Okay, this is the new charge, Class A felony of murder in the second degree, and that acting in concert with another knowingly caused the death of your mother by stabbing her.
This is in the case of State of Missouri versus Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Gypsy Blanchard.
And how old are you?
I'm gonna be 25 years old at 24.
And how far did you go in school?
About the second grade.
How do you plead to the Class A felony of murder in the second degree?
Guilty.
The court finds that there is a factual basis for a plea of guilty. Court accepts defendant's plea of guilty and finds defendant guilty thereof beyond a reasonable doubt. She's to be sentenced to 10 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections. She'll have to do 85% of her sentence before.
So she served like
she's
8
eligible
years.
for, parole. Let's go off the record.
There you are.
This case is unusual and extraordinary. Gypsy Blanchard endured nearly 2 decades of systematic, purposeful abuse at the hands of her mother for the purpose of fraud. And so by amending to murder in the second degree, we were able to both hold Gypsy Blanchard accountable for the murder, which was not justified nor excusable, but yet account for those mitigating circumstances.
All of us involved are, it's relief. You know, at the very beginning of this, there was the question of the death penalty on the table. Ultimately, it's the best outcome for her, it's the best outcome for the state of Missouri, and ultimately the right thing to do for everybody.
That one's in this pocket.
I mean, it's a murder. There's nothing we can do about that. So, you know, that has to be dealt with. But ultimately, when you look at the fact that at the end of that 8.5 years, she's already done a year of that, she'll be 32 years old. She'll be 3 years younger than I am right now. So, I mean, she will actually be able to enjoy just the world.
Do you think 10 years in jail is better than 10 years of living the way that you had to live?
Yes, it is. I need to start over like I'm newly born.
Well, I think this is a good starting off point as far as like, you know, deep diving into, because this was done 3 years ago. After this, we're gonna go into like what's going on right now, which I think is insane.
No. Favorite hat? No, other hat.
Nah, you're good. You're good, Raging. When people are on that type of time, I would have said something if I was upset. Trust me. Thank you. I appreciate
I'm
it.
gonna cry because you crying, because it's hard to see grown men cry.
Don't cry.
Bullshit. You cry.
Thank you, Steve.
You're so big.
I know. I'm almost as tall as you.
So how's everything going with your health-wise? You good? You
It's
feel
going
good?
good. Yeah.
exercising now?
I've been going to the rec yard, been exercising. My tube site is finally all healed.
Looks
Yeah.
great. Looks good.
Yeah, all healed up. So every once in a while I get a little pain, but I think it's just phantom pain or something.
Yeah.
So you're glad that it's
I'm happy that it's over.
Yeah. We was, you know, honestly, we was hoping for less. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was your decision and everything. That's the gamble you take. I mean,
Yeah.
I look at it like you could have got 30 years.
I look
Before
at
or
it that I could have got life in prison.
Yeah.
You know, I was hitting a really down point, and it was before the plea agreement, before I knew anything about it. I was thinking, if I get life in prison, and that is what I get, I'm committing suicide right now. You know, I was seriously considering it.
Oh,
Because I'm
baby.
like, it could just be over.
I just want to make sure you know that
It's something.
if I done anything wrong, I'm sorry, baby.
No, I don't think you did anything wrong. I think it's just Mom was very good at what she was doing, and I think you just was completely in the dark. So, and I want you to know I don't blame you for any of it, either of you. And I take blame on myself, and I blame other people, but I never once blame y'all.
I appreciate that. We blame, I mean, I hold enough.
That's what I'm saying. All that's weird, Pirate. It's
But, I mean,
weird.
we're not going to dwell on that.
No.
We're gonna go forward and
Well,
when
heal
you get out,
together.
you're still going to be young. We can have a great relationship.
Look, God pulled you through it.
Yeah.
You know, the devil don't got you, baby.
Yeah.
God got you.
Yeah.
And we got you.
Give me a hug.
Next, she's gonna be pregnant.
Yeah, baby. Need anything, call me.
Next, she's gonna be pregnant. That's gonna be the next thing that come out. Gypsy Rose,
Hang tight.
pregnant.
Stay strong. We love you.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
It's okay, baby. You can do it. Okay? Stay strong. You got this far. Okay? The rest is gonna be easier. Okay?
You guys have a safe trip back.
Don't get in no trouble.
I won't.
Be good.
I'll be a good
Follow the
girl.
rules.
I will.
Set a good example.
I will.
Life. He's life.
Well, at least
Life.
I thought we were. Can somebody tell me what's got into her? A house, a home, a family.
So my thing is this, like, why is his situation, like, why is it okay that he's in jail for life? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is his circumstances different? Out of here. Don't come in my chat room asking that weird ass fucking shit. Okay, so Gypsy's emotional parole hearing, the prison confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Okay, I think we're gonna watch this one because this one's a podcast and I didn't listen to this. I just clicked on it, so it's in my like algorithm shit.
I'm Katie Maloney, 37, divorcee.
I don't
I'm
care.
Here falling in love every day with myself.
And I'm Dana Kathan, 33, former needy mess and delusional Leo, but I've never been happier.
Never been happier.
You know that.
Good.
The foundation of this podcast is for people who
don't care.
We got the household here. We got Allie working, slaving away on crushing those sizzles. And my lovely fiance, Natalie Joy, who's was with us today for the interview.
Yeah, it was iconic.
It was so iconic.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, first of all, I just want to say welcome to, I'm assuming a lot of new people tuning into our show, obviously to hear
we just
Gypsy and
get to
Ryan.
the
This couldn't be
interview?
two better guests to have because... You nervous at all?
No, I think I've been through so many interviews right
Does
now.
it feel like second nature now at this
It
point?
kinda. Yeah.
Has it all been pretty much the same? Everyone is.
Assuming Good Morning America was actually the hardest.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a lot of difficult questions in that, and we just came from The View, and I was like, oh my god, I hope these ladies are not mean to me. They were all very, very nice.
How can anyone be mean to you?
I don't know. I mean, I did some international interviews last night, and one of the questions was like, how do you feel now that you're getting all this attention?
I just think it's wild she's a
you're
celebrity.
murderer. So, like, she just flat out said it.
Yeah.
It was a lady from the UK, and I'm kind of like, okay.
You're a murderer. I agree. Why are you a celebrity? You're a murderer. And also, by the way, your skirt is so goddamn short that I could see your pantyhose. Bad wardrobe choice, sis.
And everybody in the room just like jumped up and was like ready to like, am I, fight? Or am I okay?
Yeah.
They were freaking out for me, and I'm like, no, guys, I got this. Like, it's something that I'm gonna have to address.
Yeah.
Because it's always in my comments.
You
Like,
shouldn't
why are we
be
glorifying a murderer and this and that and the other. And
You are.
I don't want to have to remind people every single time that I'm not the one that committed the act of the kill. So
No, you just commissioned it. Like, does it matter? You commissioned it. The fuck? Like, I didn't actually slit my mom's throat. I just commissioned my weird boyfriend to do it. I'm going to be hard on this chick. I'm sorry because I think it's wild that it's wild that she's a celebrity.
I'm a part of it.
Right.
But in the state of Missouri, there's no such thing as accessory to murder. So technically,
They
couldn't
couldn't charge you
charge me with accessory because that charge doesn't exist. So, I mean, had I been in another state, I would have been charged with accessory to commit murder.
Oh, that makes sense.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Gypsy, welcome to the Dial Files.
Thank you for having me.
We always start our conversations with kind of a heavy question, but fun, so I don't want to startle you.
Okay.
But Gypsy, how was your heart?
How is my heart?
Yeah.
My heart is very full.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to start by saying
No, she should not be
congratulations on being
glorified.
out.
I'm
We're
Thank
so
you.
excited to be with you.
It's insane.
Such an incredible opportunity for us.
Mhm.
But truly, like, what has this been like for
Incredible opportunity to interview a girl who commissioned her mom's murder. Good
for you since you being released from prison?
It's been a little bit of a whirlwind for me. It's been 8.5 years since I actually seen the outside walls. So coming out, I think everyone was just so sweet, and seeing my family for the first time in a setting that we could be comfortable in, that is what fills my heart with such happiness.
That's awesome.
So I'm just trying to take it day by day, not get overwhelmed.
Leading up to you being released, what were those days like? Were you
And like this
nervous,
dude she's married
excited?
to, we're gonna get into that too.
It's funny because
It's all
about a
weird.
month before, I had not started feeling like it was real. And then the day of that, it was like the day of being released, or the 24 hours leading up to it was when I really started to feel like, oh my God, there is a knot in my stomach right now. I am getting out tomorrow. And I felt like, okay, this is actually really happening because I've been prepping for it for so long. I actually got my notification that I was getting paroled 2 years before my release date.
Oh, wow.
So I had 2 years to
To, like,
prepare
sit on it, yeah.
sit on it
Wow.
before it actually happened.
Was there any part of you that is excited as I'm sure you were to be released?
Mhm.
You spent 8.5 years there. Something I was so kind of captivated by watching your documentary
Mhm.
was you referencing that despite being in prison, it was your almost first taste of freedom.
It really
the ability
was.
to make friends, to
Mhm.
do things for the first time. Was there any part of you that almost had any reluctancy to leave that space? And
Of course, I mean, I had built a life for myself. I call prison a world within a world because even though it's people have this misconception that prison is the same thing as a jail, and it's not. Actually, a jail is confined. It has cells. There's toilets in the room. But prison, you actually have a key to your room. Yeah, they keep it as much homey, I guess you could say, quote unquote homey, for inmates as possible. They have jobs in prison. They have activities. Actually, we even had a Super Bowl party last year. So I mean, prison is a world in itself, and so. It was hard leaving my friends behind because I have some friends that have some very lengthy sentences. So the
you want
last
to give a shout out to any of them?
yeah, to Amelia Bird. She actually has a very similar case to mine. And her case was, features on podcasts as well. So, I was very close with her because we had a lot in common. I say we both have mommy issues. So
lean on each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to start with some light ones first before we really get into stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when you left prison, I think the internet first lost their mind. You had your Dr. Pepper ready to go.
Your 24 pack.
And I
Bag
gotta
of
say,
Snickers.
Nally and I were a couple of soda fans ourselves. My two favorite sodas, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper. She's a Diet Coke girl. I'm dying to know.
I like Dr. Pepper.
That's your drink.
That's my go-to. Dr.
Okay.
Pepper is my go-to, and it's actually my husband's go-to as well.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, match made in heaven.
I love that. Now, if Coca-Cola ever approached you and said, Gypsy, we want you to be the spokesperson of
I'd have to
Coca-Cola."
turn them down because
You
I
would.
have to
That's
turn them
loyalty
down.
right there.
She is loyal.
Have you ever tried to mix Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper together?
That sounds terrible.
Gypsy, I'm telling you, you gotta try it. You gotta try it. It's pretty good.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I'll try it.
Did
one
you?
time.
She thinks I'm crazy.
Did you see the Barbie movie?
I haven't, not yet. I want to though.
You have to.
I'm a total girly girl. So.
What has been your best first since being freed?
My best first. Oh my God. There's been so many, but cooking with my husband in the kitchen.
Okay.
I didn't know how to cook before. I still don't know how to cook now. But he's a great cook. So, we were cooking in the kitchen, and it was just a moment that we can, spend together and just have some normalcy in our life right now.
But cooking's all about preparation.
Is it?
Yeah, you just gotta get the ingredients right.
Listen, Nick's a cook too. I have no idea what I'm doing. So it's what I can make is edible.
Trish is very miserable.
What was the first
It
meal
was-
you made together?
Okay, so it was sauteed chicken and corn and a pasta dish.
I've
More
spent
pasta
all
sides.
the-
The funny thing is, here
I
he is
have-
telling me, like, pour the milk. It's a,
I have spent all the time that I plan to spend on Trisha for the rest for a good while. I spent all the time I'm gonna spend on her. I'm good.
half a cup of milk. I pour a cup and a half of milk. And he's like, no, pour it back in the jug. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible. I'm sorry. I don't know how to cook.
I mean, it's like, again, like cooking it's about being, in a way, especially when you're doing it, it's a way of being connected and
Yeah,
doing things
it is.
together.
It is.
can
It
be
was
fun.
great.
That is awesome. I think part of what fascinates me about your story is just the fact that for much of your life, you haven't been able to make choices for yourself.
Mhm.
When you were going through the abuse from your mother, you weren't able to make choices for yourself. And like I said, prison itself, but even then you're limited to make choices. And now that you're free, I think the world is fascinated by like, what are you watching? What do you
Right.
what do you want to eat? Like,
Yeah.
what are the things that you're being gravitated
Yes,
to?
because we
that
live in a
you've-
very fucking weird world where, like, yes, I want a murderer as my influencer. Yeah, so weird. Yeah, true. Yo, Q, are you going live tonight? What's the dealio with that?
maybe your whole life have wondered, what is this like? What are things
Yeah.
that you have fascinated about trying or experiencing, knowing that for much of your life you haven't been able to do that?
It's funny. I say that I'm like 16 years old again because I'm just discovering Snapchat and selfies and social media. I didn't have much of a social media presence before I got arrested either. So I'm coming into learning about all this kind of stuff. And the first TV show I watched was Obi-Wan Kenobi because I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Are you?
So yeah, it came out last year. So I was like, oh my God, I'm dying to see this.
That was a good
So
series.
it was like the first thing I watched.
Okay.
I'm definitely trying different foods. I'm getting acclimated to freedom. The first like 48 hours, I felt like I just wanted to do everything all at once. And I have to really pace myself.
Did you sleep much that first night
I
out?
didn't. I actually got released at like 3:30 in the morning. They released me a little bit different than other inmates. Usually other inmates get out at around 8 a.m. And they were very concerned about my safety because there was also a lot of media around the prison at that time. So
Who picked you up?
my husband. Yeah, he picked me up, and then we drove to a hotel that we got locally. So just in case that was the way they released me, he could be there to pick me up at a short time, short notice. And then we spent the night. We had our first intimate moment as husband and wife. Got to consummate our marriage, which was great.
And clearly it seemed to live up to expectations.
It did.
Okay, good.
And then after that, the next morning we had planned a little get together with my family, where I just got to spend time with my dad and my stepmom and my sister, and just really enjoy some family bonding time.
Yeah. Having sex for the first time with your husband,
Weird.
was it everything you expected it to be? Were you nervous? Were you like, obviously you're so connected, y'all are, you're married,
Right.
But you've never got to experience a closeness like most
Right.
couples. So, like, how was that for the first time?
It was so sweet, and I have a past of sexual abuse. So I was molested when I was 9 by my grandfather. And then in my relationship with Nick, there was some sexual abuse. It was just a very toxic relationship. So coming from a place where I never had a sex life, I never felt safe. It was like being used and abused, one person after another. So
I don't want to comment
with Ryan,
on this.
he didn't say, "Oh, we have to have sex the first night." It was like, if you want to, let it happen naturally. Because I was like trying to plan everything, and I was so nervous. I'm like, what happens if he doesn't like the way I look? Or I'm nervous about just being naked too, because I have scars on my body. And so in prison, it's not like he got to see me before he married me. So, they say, you got to drink the milk before you buy the cow. And that didn't happen for us. So I was extremely nervous. But then within 10 minutes, I was like, okay, this is happening. And I felt totally comfortable and totally safe.
That's awesome. I can relate to you. I was also sexually assaulted at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much that takes control over your life.
Mm-hmm.
In the documentary, obviously, we saw your grandfather have
A bizarre reaction.
It was a disgusting reaction. When you heard that was his reaction, what was your thought?
Well, I came to a place, actually, before he did that interview, I had came to a place.
Wait. So that grandfather... No. I need to look into this. What happened? Gypsy Rose grandfather... Excuse me.
The baths that she said she was taking with her grandfather, that her grandfather took with her, those also happened with her mother?
What? What is this?
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the more harsh details that you have to read, but obviously this is someone's story and she wants to share it all. It wasn't just her mother, but also her grandfather, and one time all three of them in the bath. It wasn't until she actually went to prison that she realized that it's not a very normal thing for adult women to actually do with each other. And so it's something that she's coming to grips with, the reality of her past and what's actually normal for an everyday person. But then on top of that, really excruciating details about getting clean in the bath with her mother. One detail I'll share with you is that her mother actually shaved her private parts down there. It was all about, in her mother's eyes, getting clean. She saw her daughter as a dirty girl, and so shaving her was a way to get her clean. And that's really a theme that you see throughout this entire book. How does one get clean? Not just in the sense of literally bathing, but also the dirtiness that she feels post-conviction, knowing full well that she was responsible for killing her mother, and that still weighs on her, and that's what makes her feel dirty.
Well, I'm going to just go one step further, and I'm guessing since her mother was desperate to convince everybody that she was so much younger than she was, maybe that was the ulterior motive, to take the razor to her little...
That's weird. I'm just like, where did this even come from?
Gypsy told us that there may have been some abuse that went on in this house.
Abuse with who?
With you.
Who?
Gypsy.
Gypsy?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, I never. At the first I heard of it, we always would play together and always stuff together and stuff like that, but
So that's not true at all.
no,
Mary, meet my witches and wicked and for all you know witch folks. Good evening.
Why is this the only person who has this?
Hello, Hidden Gem.
He's appealing his life sentence. Well, what happens with that? This story is giving me the ick. I mean, yeah.
Where I was going to call him and say, I forgive you. You know, I was going to say that for me, for him, and just be done with it. And then he got interviewed and I heard about his reaction. And I'm like, how could you? Like, not only are you saying that you didn't, but you're saying that I'm the one as a child at 4
years old.
I'm the one that was trying to do
you
things.
don't even know what that is at 4 years
No,
old.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get into graphic details, but it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it left me with a lot of insecurities. And just, I felt like I didn't have a healthy growth of a sexual, you know, upbringing. So now it's kind of like I'm trying my best
to rebuild
that and feel comfortable and safe within my own body.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you talk to anyone on your mom's side?
I have. My mother's side is actually, they do want to have communication with me. Mostly my cousins. Okay.
Yeah, your one cousin on the documentary.
The tattoo artist.
The tattoo
Oh, yeah,
artist. I was like, I
Bobby.
kind of like this guy. It was great.
Yeah.
Do you have a relationship with him at all?
Yeah, I have a relationship with my cousin Bobby and my cousin Tiffany. They're both very close to me. Actually, I have an appointment in like 2 weeks to get my first tattoo.
What are you gonna
get?
And Bobby's gonna be doing it.
Of course, he has to.
So I'm wanting to get a matching tattoo with my stepmom Christy. So there's this symbol and it's called a unilome. And basically it's a little squiggly line that basically means that the path to enlightenment and like a self-awareness is mixed with twists and turns, but it doesn't make it any less beautiful. And I want to get that on the back of my neck.
Yes, I love
We got a few of our own.
Yeah,
you know.
nice.
Watching the documentary, I was again captivated by how you spoke about prison. And when you first got to prison, I want to know, like, what were those first days like? And then clearly you spent a lot of time in prison doing a lot of reflecting. You've talked about the importance of therapy and how you rely on that. And to me, it seems like there's an earnest and clear effort from you to reinvent yourself, to almost reprogram, you know, yourself. And you went all this abuse that you went through. Do you remember that moment in prison that, you know, you thought to yourself, I'm going to make the most of this? Because not everyone does that. You know, we're a show that we like to talk about the fact that life is about making mistakes and learning from them. Not everyone chooses to learn from their mistakes, but you clearly were someone who seems like they tried to make the most of their time while in prison. And yeah, do you remember that moment? Was there epiphany of like, I don't want to be this person. I actually want to take accountability for the role I played and not let this define me?
Actually, there was a class that I took and it was called ICVC. And it's an acronym for Impact of Crime on Victims.
Okay.
And I took this class. It was a 12-week class. And it's all about accountability. And so as I was going through the courses, I realized that I had made mistakes before my crime. I had made choices before my crime. And I feel like even though I didn't get in trouble for those things, this was a chance and an opportunity for me to honestly learn from those things that I've done in the past. So, and I completed that class and actually went back to teach the class.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And it was really enjoyable for me to pass the baton on and just kind of like teach others what I have learned. It was a very impactful class for me. And I think it's sad, you know, there are people that don't want to better themselves, but for me, it was always known. It was part of that freedom to do, you know, things with my life that I've never done before. So one of the first things I did was, you know, get into GED classes because I wanted to better my education.
I think the world has a ton of empathy for what you went through. And I think sometimes the questions people do have, you know, a lot of people have watched the documentaries, have seen the act. And I think it's that those scenes at the end where you're being interrogated by the police and you're lying initially about what happened. And so much of that documentary also talks about your mother and her deceit and her ability to manipulate so many people. And a kind of a through line or a common question throughout the documentary was kind of, you know, how much of Gypsy's mom is potentially still in you and with what you learned and, you know, those behaviors. Do you think about that? And
yeah, I know. I seen that, KK. LOL.
Of course. You know,
it
I
was
lived with her for 24 years of my life. And she did things in her life. She shoplifted. There was fraud. Like, there was a lot of things, criminal activity that she was doing that I grew up in. I watched her do all these things. So for me, it is a conscious effort to, you know, go back in my mind and realize that is the wrong thing to do. This is the right way to do things. I'm reprogramming myself, and it takes a minute. I have a pretty clear knowledge of right and wrong now, the obvious stuff. But for the things that maybe aren't so clear or the lines are maybe a little blurry, I do have a wonderful dad and a wonderful stepmom and a wonderful husband that I can ask them questions like, hey, what do you think about this? And also I'm in therapy. So I talk about it with my therapist. I'm very raw and honest in saying, hey, I know that this was not a normal childhood. I'm the product of someone that was very deceitful. How do I prevent myself from falling prey to being like her? I don't think I'm like my mother at all. I try actively not to be.
You're manipulative. I think that she's a little manipulative, but maybe she doesn't want to be, which I commend. But I just think it's weird that she's an influencer. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, I'm just this influencer. I got famous. What are you famous for, girl? Oh, well, my mom abused me my whole life, and I unalived her. I went to jail for some time, and now I'm just out here fucking influencing. Like, skr what? It don't make no sense. Skr what? Skr what? It don't make no sense at all. Like, I'm just confusion. But it's not her fault she's a celebrity influencer. It's the world. Like, it's society. Like, what is wrong with us? That we want to consume this bullshit.
Quite honestly, from everything I've seen and just a little bit getting to know you, to me, it's the effort. It's the awareness and the acknowledgement and just the ability to recognize the challenges you face, to recognize and even admit sometimes it can be scary as a victim.
Oh, yes. You're so amazing because you know that unaliving your mom was wrong. Great job. Like, what? What up, Mermy? What up, Breezy?
To acknowledge what's happened to you. So that fact that you're even doing that is, I think, inspiring, and it says a lot about the effort and progress you've made.
Thank you. Okay, try.
Speaking of these documentaries and shows, have you watched all of them that have been out about you?
Actually, I haven't watched any of them.
Any of them?
Any of them.
Are you
Because
actively doing that, or was that just like I couldn't watch it?
No. You know, I'm proud of the HBO doc that I did. I did an interview for that. I'm very proud of it. You know,
That's
I'm very
what we
close
just
with
watched.
the writer and the producers and everything. I'm close with the people that we worked with it, but I'm not there yet. I lived it, so I just don't feel a need to watch all this
To
stuff.
relive it.
Right, to relive it. Like, telling it and doing these interviews are hard enough. Like, at the end of the day, I have, like, trauma. And so, for me, having to do interviews is, in a sense, reliving it. And I can bet you that I'll have a nightmare reliving it all over again. So, I don't need to watch it.
I think it's definitely different to watch people try to portray to be you and your mother, and how hard that could be to watch and be like, well, that's not how that happened. Or that, you know, like, I can't imagine having to watch that back as you. So I understand you not watching that.
Yeah, she won't even watch my seasons of The Bachelor.
I get it.
That being said, have you been made aware of what's in it and whether any family members watched it, and specifically the act? Because I think there's a lot of people who know your story through that show. Are you aware of any inaccuracies that were portrayed that bothered you, or did you hear about it, or are you just kind of completely oblivious to what is in the
You know, I have had my stepmom Chrissy. She watched it. She watched all the episodes, and she's kind of relaying what all was put in there. And there is a bunch of inaccuracies, according to her. So, and actually, a couple of fans of the show was like, "Do you still have the hamsters?" And I'm like, I've never owned a hamster in my life. I had cats. So,
that's wrong.
That's definitely wrong.
Creative choice.
I know, I don't get it. But also the way they portrayed, you know, one of my friends that lived in the neighborhood, Aaliyah. The way they portrayed her was, I guess, more of like a wild child, a rebel, you know, a delinquent or something. And she's actually a really sweet girl. And you know, she got into nursing, so she works at a nursing home. So I think that for me, I don't care so much about the inaccuracies of that show because I'm doing this all stuff. Like, I'm out now.
Right.
I have a voice now. The hardest thing was to watch everyone tell my story and, you know, get it wrong and speculate and everything. But now I'm free. It's my turn now.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you've been very open about is your relationship with Nick. You mentioned the abuse. You mentioned just kind of, you know, some of his dark desires. Something that really bothered me when I was watching the act is he comes across a little sympathetic towards the end. They highlight his autism. Do you have any thoughts about that? And despite what Nick did to you and your mother, do you have any empathy for him being in prison and what he has gone through?
You know, I think that we both, like him and I, both have a lot of regrets. You know, obviously, I wish that this would have never happened this way. Now, for him specifically, you know, I did my time. I know he's doing his time for his part of things. You know, I hope that whatever he does with his future, because he is spending the rest of his life in prison, I acknowledge that I am the reason for that. However, I don't feel either that it's a situation where it's a sympathetic type of situation. And I mean, the reason why I say that is because in my past relationships, I've had 2 relationships since I've been incarcerated. And each one of my exes and even my husband is like, baby, if you would have asked me that question, if you would have said, hey, can you kill my mom to get me out of the situation? They would have said, no. Okay, no, we're not doing that.
Let's go to the police.
Let's go to the police. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of the situation, but let's go to the authorities. All right, and we're gonna do this the right way. He did not. Nick did not say that. You know, he has these dark fantasies. He wanted to do it. It was a fantasy he lived out, and he's paying the consequences for that. So with that being said, you know, it's neither here nor there for, in my opinion, what I think of the situation. It's just, it is what it is.
Have you been able to, you know, come to peace with that night, or have you relived that night over and over in your head? And
I still suffer from, you know, PTSD and trauma. I keep reliving this one nightmare over and over again, and it's tied to that night. It's tied to the house.
Are you able to share that?
So yeah, and I've had actually 2 nightmares that reoccur a lot. So the first one, my therapist said, is attributed to the guilt that I feel for not reaching out to other people to help me out. So the first one that I have is I have a cell phone. I'm in my dream. I'm holding a cell phone and I'm trying to call my dad. And the number, for some reason, I can't get through to him. The number doesn't work. The phone is turned off or whatever it be. I can't get through to him. And I have that nightmare again and again and again. And then the other one is about that night. And I keep on going back into that house and just feeling very frightened. And, the murder just happens again and again and again in my mind. Like I'm free physically, but I'm not free from the trauma.
Yeah.
You obviously have regret, right? So looking back, is there something you would have done different to protect yourself and ultimately save your life?
This all started as a child, like as a toddler. So I grew up in a household where my mother said that she had magical powers and she'd put a voodoo hex on me if I ever tried to leave. My mother suffered from a lot of mental illness. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. So, my mom used to say that she heard voices and saw shapes and things like that. So, for me, I think the regret goes back so much further than the crime. I wish that even as a little girl, I would have maybe even said something like, "Mommy hears voices,"
and just started telling
people, some of the smaller things that was going on. Maybe even if it didn't make sense to me,
right.
Just kind of make those comments.
Right. Why do you think you didn't? Were you just
because my mother she isolated us from our family. In my younger years, it was easier. But the older that I got, the worse she got. And so in the smaller of a circle we had to reach out to.
Do you still, despite having the regret, are you able to give yourself that grace? Because, you were such a young child, you didn't know any better. You didn't know the difference between, well, maybe voodoo's a real thing, all those things. Are you still able to give yourself that grace, even though you still live with that regret?
I'm trying. I'm trying to work on self-forgiveness. I had a conversation with my stepmom, and she was like, sweetie, people are sympathetic to you, and they're praising you, not because of what you did, the crime. They are praising you, and they give you so much support because you survived it. Whereas other children and people would have died in that kind of a situation. And so I'm trying to give myself grace. I'm trying to give myself understanding.
What?
I'm working with a therapist. It's going to take some time. It's that emotional process.
Yeah, it absolutely does take some time. And that was actually one question I had too, is because for all the people who watch the documentaries, they've watched the shows, they've heard how your mom's family has spoken about her. I know in some other interviews you said that you don't think your mom is a monster.
No,
and I think it's admirable for you to go to go out your way to have that grace for your mom because of what she did to you. That being said, you being the public figure now, I'm sure people are going to approach you. People get kind of nervous and awkward when they meet someone they're a fan of. For all the people who have a very, very specific and very intense feeling towards your mom for what she did to you, how does that make you feel?
It's real weird
and
that she's
what
a public
would you say
figure.
to someone who kind of nervously goes up to your mom and says something maybe even as crass as she deserved it?
Actually, I've gotten that a lot.
Okay.
I had that a lot of the girls in prison said, "Girl, I would have done the same thing." It makes me cringe. I hate that. And I felt so much guilt whenever I first got arrested because it spiraled so quickly. I got arrested and then my attorney visited me, and then all of a sudden he's got a stack of paperwork on his desk talking about the Blanchard fraud scheme, and people were saying that my mother was a bad mom and things like that. And for me, I'm like, I was in a state of shock. So I was processing it all, but I felt a sense of guilt because I'm like, I'm hearing these words like, your mother was a whatever. She deserved it. And I'm like, no, she didn't. I think the one thing that people think is that I hated my mom. And I'm like, no, I loved my mom. I just wanted out of that situation. I wanted out of that home.
Yeah. And I think that's something that people forget or don't know. And what I learned through the documentary is you tried to run away.
I did, yes.
Several times.
The first time was with a guy, a much older guy. And, I grew up on Disney princess movies. And so I thought like the only escape I had was with a guy. So that was only my form of reference for anything. And that didn't pan out. He didn't even have a vehicle. So I was leaning on different people, just not the right people.
Yeah. You started this conversation, you were referring to other interviews, and that one interviewer just calling you a murderer.
Yes.
Do you feel that way about yourself, or do you feel more as if that you're a survivor?
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that. I'm an accessory. Absolutely. I'll take, yes, I did that. I am an accessory to
She
murder.
almost admitted it. Did you notice that? Hold on.
I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a for help, and how that conversation started was, yes.
Do you feel that way about yourself, or do you feel more as if that you're a survivor?
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked.
She was almost going to say I asked him to do it, but she catches herself because she can't say that.
Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said, so I was leaning on different people, just not the right people.
Yeah. You started this conversation, you were referring to other interviews, and that one interviewer just calling you a murderer.
Yes.
Do you feel that way about yourself, or do you feel more as if that you're a survivor?
I don't associate myself as a murderer, because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that. I'm an accessory. Absolutely. I'll take, yes, I did that. I am an accessory to murder. However, that doesn't define me. I did my sentence. I did my part. I did what the judge wanted me to do. Now that that's over, let me live my life. Let me reinvent myself. Give me a chance.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like you should do all those things. I just think you should not. I don't think you should be an influencer.
Because before I didn't even have that chance.
Or a
to
public
begin with.
figure.
So let me show you guys who I am as a person before you just start slapping labels on me.
Now that you can finally decide who you
Yes,
can be.
yes.
Yeah.
You were held accountable. Nick was held accountable. But watching all the content, all the things that are out there, no doctors were held accountable. And it was just frustrating as a viewer to watch, whether it was the act or the documentaries, to have all these doctors, people we trust with our health. We don't know any better. How do you know?
Right.
Does that ever
Doctors
anger you?
Doctors don't know any better either. They go off of what the fucking patient tells them.
And do you feel like there are people in the medical community that should be held accountable for what happened to you?
Of course. I mean, I think that the doctors, whether or not they even suspected it.
Yeah, I
in
think
their
it's
own
crazy that
mind
doctors kept on listening to that lady, though. That's wild.
or whatever, they didn't do anything about it. So there was no report. There was no follow-up. And I think that money plays a big part in it. Hey, they're getting paid. This girl needs a lot of medical care. It's more money in my pocket, right? So I think we live in a system that's very money hungry and selfish. And so
You're good,
it
Deb.
cost me my life. What does that mean to someone else? So they aren't held accountable. And I actually, my parents and my dad and stepmom tried to look for an attorney that can take my case for a malpractice lawsuit. And I don't think anyone wants to touch it. I've not been able to find one.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's really surprising, actually.
It seems so obvious.
Maybe there's some lawyers listening to this.
Yeah, I need some legal advice.
Yeah. That seems shocking and very disappointing. Because like I said, I mean, when we go to the doctor, we for most of us, we don't know any better. We don't know anything, and whatever a doctor tells us is gospel. And again, you went to the doctor
shouldn't
more
be.
than maybe anyone ever, and every time you went, all these doctors were doing were just confirming the lie that your mother was telling you. And truly couldn't imagine. I couldn't put myself in your shoes. And it angered me so much because it's such a vulnerable position to be in when we go to the doctor's office and we put our health and our lives in their trust, and you were failed time and time again.
I think that there needs to be a certain level of education about Munchausen by proxy syndrome, because I have a friend that's in the medical field, and she told me there's probably about a paragraph that they briefed them on. And it's something that is not talked about enough. I think when my case happened, people really started taking notice and started to pay attention to it, because before my case, I never heard of it.
Right.
There was no TV show. There was no
I heard about
episode
it because of Eminem. That's probably it.
of anything. So, now I think there's more awareness, but I still think that there just isn't enough. But, what's interesting is about 2 months ago, I had a mother reach out to me in prison. And she was telling me about how she's going through a custody battle with her ex-husband. She has a 3-year-old, and the psychologist and the therapist that they hired on the husband's, behalf to interview the mother put the diagnosis of Munchausen by proxy on her. And she's like, I would never hurt my child. My child is not even on any medications. She has tubes in her ear. That's it. And that, they're trying to take her child from her. And so there seems to be this imbalance. And I'm about to watch the documentary, Take Care of Maya.
Yeah.
I really want to watch that. So I'm going to watch that over the weekend, because
She just won her case.
Did she?
Yeah.
Good. Because it's so sad. There's this imbalance that is going on, that either the doctors don't catch it at all, which was in my case, and then they're putting this diagnosis on people that probably don't have it. And so where is the middle ground?
Yeah, there is none.
There is none right now.
Yeah, absolutely. When was the first time that you suspected something was wrong? That you were like, this isn't right. I don't think, I don't feel sick. When was that first kind of acknowledgement?
I get this question a lot.
Do you?
And there were things that I knew growing up that I didn't have wrong with me. So particularly the wheelchair. Okay, I always knew that I could walk. However, my mom instructed me to stay in the wheelchair. And so I listened. I was a very obedient child. And as for everything else, the things that is not visible, like leukemia and cancer, every time that my mom would tell me that I was going to the doctor for cancer, I thought that I was going to die. I thought that I was a dying child. Because cancer you can't see.
Right.
So, there was things that I learned while in jail that, oh my God, I'm not dying.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing. I'm not already dying.
Wow.
What are your personal goals for yourself now that you're out? Like, what do you want to do? Is there a particular profession that you're interested in getting in?
Where do you
know,
want to travel?
Your social
Right.
media has blown up. I mean, you're kind of the quintessential influencer in the sense that, again,
Oh,
everything,
God, the
so many things that you
influencer
try are for the
shit.
first time.
It
And
is.
what does Gypsy love? What is she into? Have you thought about, like, what do you want to do with your life now that you're free?
Yeah, I mean, I have personal goals and I have career goals. So I am newly together, wed as my husband calls it. So I'm married and we're starting our life together. So on the side of personal goals, we want to start a family someday. I'm 32, he's 37. We don't want to wait too long now.
Right.
So that's on the side of personal goals. But then on the side of professional goals, it's like, okay, I have this huge platform. Let me use it for something good. And so I want to get into advocacy work. I need to make connections with people that are a little bit more established because I'm just coming out of prison. So these things take time. But again, like I never expected to have such a big social media following. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm coming out of prison. All right, this is all well and good and everything. Selfies and whatnot. Let's have fun with it for a little while. But then let's get to the serious part.
Like
let's
what?
start using my platform for something that means something important.
Yeah. We're also still allowed to have some fun, too.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course. And look good doing it.
Have you ever thought about the fact that,
like,
like, now that you're out, even still, you don't have that kind of quote unquote normal life. Now so you were abused, then you were in prison, and now you're an instant celebrity. Like, do you have
Which
a
makes
desire in
no
the future? And I don't think
sense.
there's any wrong answer to kind of disappear or go away. Or do you don't mind embracing this public figure life that you have with the opportunity, like you said, to do advocacy, to do good, and to try to, again, better this world as a result of all the pain that you had to suffer and hopefully help others not?
I've always had a very love-hate relationship with the media and the attention from all of
Well,
this.
that won't go away.
And at this point, I've come to accept it. In the past, I've hated it. I used to cry on my bed, and I'm just like, I want a normal life. That's actually, I was engaged once before.
To Ken?
To Ken, yeah. And we were together for 2 years, and then our engagement was announced, and he's a very private person. And so he didn't like the attention. And so I attributed him breaking off the engagement and breaking my heart and devastating me to the fame. And so I definitely spiraled out of control at that time. So that made me hate it. And then seeing how I've been welcomed.
How is she engaged
that makes
to
me
someone
at
else?
least so more comfortable. I won't say love it, but it makes me more comfortable in being who I am.
New year, new goals, and it's never a better time to start thinking about how you can take care of your body, and you can do that with Care Of.
Suck
If
a
you're
little
someone who's
dick or
ever
something.
Well, now that you're married, and to the lovely Ryan who I've gotten to meet, should we bring him in here and get to know
Yes,
Ryan a
yeah.
little bit?
Let's
All
get-
right, let's
let's
do
get
it.
him in here.
Get in here, Ryan.
Yay! Woohoo!
Have a seat.
Come sit next to me.
All right, Ryan, we have to ask you, how is your heart?
How is my heart?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, how is it feeling? Like, is it Gypsy's heart is full?
Oh, my heart is completely full. Like I'm amazed every day that I'm with this woman right here. Like it's been a roller coaster ride, but I'm enjoying it. I love the fact that I'm the one that's honored to be next to her.
You guys have already been through a lot. Gypsy, you in the documentary, again, we're, really I love your openness. Like
Thanks.
it's for
Thank
someone
you.
who's been criticized for being deceitful and a liar. I'm really inspired by what seems to me a genuine effort to try to get it right.
Mhm.
And you talked a little bit about, lying to your stepmother.
Mhm.
You've talked about lying to Ryan,
Mhm.
about Ken.
Mhm.
How have you guys continued to work through the struggles that you have had? And how has Ryan continued to be supportive throughout that struggle?
I think it's all about communication. My dad, one of the first things he said when I got engaged was, you need to have good communication or else everything's going to fall apart. So our communication skills are like on point. We're very open and honest with each other, even brutally honest. So if it's something that we don't want to hear, we're going to hear it anyway because that's that honesty.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? How's this been for you?
Me and Gypsy decided long ago when we got together, we just wanted to be open and honest with each other. Like she said, even if it hurts my feelings or vice versa, we wanted it to be a transparent relationship. We want this to work.
This guy needs like a lap band or something. He's gonna die if he doesn't lose some weight. He looks like he's like 500 pounds. I don't know if he is, but he's a big guy.
And it's one of those where, I have that unconditional love for her and she does too. Like she has said in the past that I love the good and the bad Gypsy. I don't, because in past relationships, people have glamorized her and, have this perception of her, of that little girl and whatever. But I just love the person Gypsy, good and bad. So it's one of those where it's great.
People have talked about, they've been critical of you guys rushing, acknowledging that, hey, Gypsy hasn't even had a normal life outside of prison. What has been the first week been like? And have there been already
No, he
kind of
doesn't.
like, okay, well, this is new. All right,
He doesn't look
I
like
didn't know that.
blackout.
But any of those moments, any of those things, you guys have had to have a moment and said, okay, this is the beginning of us learning about each other. And, quite honestly, Nally and I still, have those moments. But what's it been like for you guys?
It's been very enjoyable. We spent a couple days at home. I don't think that there's anything that really shocked me about him, but I will say this right now. So
This is breaking news.
it's coming. So he's getting used to putting the toilet seat down for me because he's been living by himself for so long. I'm like, and he's like, oh, I put it down every time. I'm like, so I found it and I found it up and I took a picture of it and I'm like, no,
As I'm
you
buying her
don't.
shoes, like as I leave to go buy her something.
I left it up the other night, buddy.
I got a picture picture of it. It was like, see, here's proof. And I was just like,
You're like, well, I'm
going to take your
bleeding
shoes back
shoes,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take your shoes back now. No, yeah, she got me on that one.
What about for you? Anything that you've learned about Gypsy that's been, interesting to learn?
Well,
Besides that she's not a great cook.
well, she's going to work on that. My mother has told her that she would help her. There's some things that I've learned but it's been great. Like, there's not anything that I don't enjoy.
What's one thing you've really enjoyed that surprised you that you've learned?
Well, I love how organized she is. She came in and already had like half the closet set up for her, but she took it all. And I was like, fine, take it. I don't care. And it's one of those where I love how organized she is. So our kitchen's like the next project. She's going to go in there and make it her own. And I told her from the get-go, like, when you come home, this is your home. Like, feel free to move anything around that you want and I will adapt. I'm the man. I'll adapt. You make it your own. And so that's what she's been doing. And it's been great. We were supposed to be in Kansas City for the first weekend she was out, and then plans changed. So
yeah, what happened there, Gypsy?
So my parole officer, I have two. So my parole officer in
Why?
Louisiana said, yeah, you're good to go to the game. I don't mind you spending a few days in Kansas City. I'm good with that. I won't meet with you until after the holidays. So the day after I get out, and we're having this gathering with my parents and my family and my friends.
We
and all
just
this.
got done shopping for shoes.
Yeah,
Like
we went to the shoe store.
So people are following us at
Yes,
this time,
yes.
yeah.
We were hounded by paparazzi. But I got a call, and it was my Missouri parole officer saying, so are you on your way back to Louisiana? And I'm like, no. I'm like, we're going to stay a few days in Kansas City.
I was very skeptical because, like I said, we were being hounded by media. Like, people were following us, and a strange number calls my phone because I was the connection. And I kind of questioned the parole officer first. I was like, how do we know? Because he answers the phone and he says, I'm so-and-so. I need to know where you're going and where you're at. And I was kind of like, no, you're not getting that information. No, we got people following us. I'm not telling you where we're going. And Gypsy finally had to like calm me down because I raised it up, and then she's like, stop, it might actually be him.
Yeah, it
And
might
I was
actually
like,
be him.
okay.
Yeah.
So then I let her take over, and then come to find out it was her Missouri parole officer telling her she had to leave like right then.
Yeah, because he didn't give me permission. The Louisiana one did, but the Missouri one didn't.
Interesting.
And so the Missouri one overruled the Louisiana one.
And we have some theories. Some might not be right, some might be good. Yeah, she's telling me not to.
Why
say
does
it,
she
so
have
no,
two?
we can't share
It doesn't
theories.
make sense.
Is it more so just like the attention? Like, do you feel like it's your
I think
parole officer?
partly it was because of my safety. I really feel like partly it was because of my safety, because I think that they were aware of how big this was going to get before it even happened.
I don't
So they're
know.
like,
I don't know.
get her
Ryan
back
doesn't
to
believe
no.
I mean, news got out that we were going to a Chiefs-Bengals game.
Yes,
and,
it did. Yes, it did.
And you know the rest, right?
Yeah.
Can you picture what I'm saying? Chiefs-Bengals game? Who's?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Taylor
he
Swift.
I
thinks
didn't say it.
All right, well, I will. So he thinks that Taylor Swift is people, not her herself. Wanted to protect her because here's the situation. I just want to clarify for a second.
That's right. Tell the
So,
story.
yeah, I'm gonna tell the story.
Let's
So
let him have it.
I just
Clear the air.
Taylor probably will hear this.
Okay, so here's the thing.
She's a big fan.
I am. So
We are too.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
she's
about
good.
6 months before I got out of prison, Ryan and I were looking at fun things to do in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And so he saw that there was going to be a Chiefs-Bengals game, and he's a Bengals fan. He's a Joe
Right.
Burrow
Joe
fan.
Burrow fan.
Who's
I mean,
your
LSU.
Huh?
Who's your team?
Who's my team? The Saints,
Okay.
the New Orleans Saints.
Who dat?
That's my home team. So anyway, I said, okay, that would be so cool. Let's buy tickets because that would be so much fun to do on New Year's Eve. So we bought our tickets, and then 3 months or so later, I find out that Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce. And so I'm like, that would be so cool if she was at the game and like I got to meet her.
Just happened to run into her.
To run
Like,
into her.
not like,
That'd be
we're going to
cool.
find her.
It was so it was so like nonchalant. It was just like that would be cool because she's my favorite singer. And then TMZ got a hold of the story, but also TMZ, not to say anything bad about TMZ, called me a felon. So I mean, in the article,
Like famous murderers looking for Taylor Swift.
something like
It's
that.
That's
So-
her first thing
and
she wants to do.
the
Fresh out of jail.
comments were like, "Oh my God, Taylor Swift is in danger. This murderer is going to come after her," and
So
it became this
got
big
blown
thing.
way out of proportion.
It got blown out of proportion. I'm not a stalker.
So you weren't in any way trying to do like a forced meet?
No,
with
not
Taylor
at
or
all.
anything
Not
like
at
that?
all. I was just like, that would have been cool if we would have ran into her. It is what it is.
All right,
There's
this is
other
kind of
girls-
whack. I don't want to hear about her like life. I want to just like show like what's going on. So
there are ways that this could have been handled differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I look at things in hindsight and I realize that there were other options besides murder, but I was so sheltered that I couldn't see them at the time.
Oh, were there?
She's the face of one of the most shocking crime stories in memory.
This is the house where Claudinia Blanchard was found stabbed to death.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, portrayed by her mother as a chronically ill girl, unable to walk with that signature baby voice. But it was all a lie. Her mother, Dee Dee, was actually the one who was sick with the psychological disorder Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where a parent seeks attention through their child's made-up illnesses. Your mother controlled so much. Many people just can't understand why you didn't just get up and walk out of that wheelchair. You weren't sick.
It's mental, it's emotional, it's physical. All these reasons combined together is what prevented me from just walking out of that situation.
Give us a sense of the fear that you felt.
I feared more than anything that if I ran away, that things would be worse for me at home.
Gypsy becoming the mastermind in her mother's slaying after a lifetime of abuse.
I actually didn't even want her to be killed. I just wanted out of my situation. And I thought that was the only way out. So I think that there is this judgment on me that I killed my mom because I hated her, and that's not true.
At age 23, she pled guilty for the role she played in her mother's brutal murder.
Guilty.
Stabbed 17 times by Gypsy's then boyfriend. Now, after nearly 9 years in prison, she's a free woman. Are you ready to join the adult world?
I am. I think that I have gained enough life experience behind bars.
Speaking on camera 1 week after walking out of a Missouri prison on December 28th. When you look at these pictures now of Gypsy Rose, do you recognize her?
I don't. I know that it's me, but at the same time, that isn't me anymore.
In many ways, this is not Gypsy's second chance at life, but her first. At 32 years old, with a new husband and a social media star with millions of followers.
Hey everyone, this is Gypsy. I'm finally free.
Gypsy's first TikTok going viral, posted just days after her release. You're trending on TikTok, people saying things like, I'm tipsy for Gypsy. How do you explain this?
I honestly, I don't know myself. I consider myself just a normal woman, but I think maybe my story resonates with a lot of people.
Her allure bolstered by documentaries and by Hollywood, portrayed in Hulu's award-winning miniseries, The Act.
My mom is my best friend. All she wants to do is keep me safe.
Gypsy! So many people are embracing you out there. Do you feel any conflict with that? You've got fame, even though you participated in a murder?
Of course I feel conflicted. Fame is not what I'm looking for.
No.
I always said I think I'm infamous, and then I came out famous, but that's not what I want. I want to be an influence for change.
She's beginning by offering details of her life in prison in the new Lifetime series, The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
I share my story to be a cautionary tale so that the next person that might be in a situation like mine where they are in an abusive relationship or they are feeling trapped, they don't take the route that I did.
By the time she was 8 years old, life for Gypsy was nonstop pills and procedures. She was confined to a wheelchair.
Where are you going today? I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist for my teeth. My mother told me and told the doctors that I had everything from leukemia to muscular dystrophy. Paralysis from the neck down was one of actually in the medical records. And the doctors see me moving my arms, so how could I be paralyzed from the neck down?
Were you ever tempted in any of these medical tests to say, I can move my arms, I can walk?
Of course, but my mother was always in the room with me. She never left my side, not once.
Gypsy forced to undergo numerous procedures, including eye surgeries, a feeding tube, the removal of her salivary glands.
That shit's
What is
crazy.
your health situation now? How were you permanently affected by all that you went through?
I did see a doctor in prison, and I'm completely healthy. I have no health problems whatsoever.
Grown-up Gypsy revealing for the first time now that she was hiding a dark struggle. In the docuseries, you reveal something pretty surprising. You say that you were addicted to painkillers. How serious was this addiction?
This is really hard to talk about because it took me down a really dark path. But I felt like it was my only way to cope for a time.
She says she'd had enough after 2 decades of abuse.
We have breaking news. The body of 48-year-old Claudinia Blanchard has been found inside her home in Springfield.
On June 14, 2015, police find Dee Dee Blanchard stabbed to death in her Missouri home. Authorities discover Gypsy plotted with a boyfriend she met online, Nicholas Godejohn, to kill her mother.
Your mom's dead.
Wait,
She's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this?
No.
Yeah.
The two even having sex in the next room near her mother's body. Gypsy would eventually plead guilty to second-degree murder. Godejohn was convicted of carrying out the stabbing death and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Gypsy now revealing that drugs played a role that night. Did your addiction have any connection to this crime?
I think a part of it did. I would get high to stay numb, to not feel emotion.
So when you made this decision to take part in the killing of your mom, were you high?
Where did
Yes,
she
I
get
was.
drugs from?
I was actually arrested with the pain medication in my bag.
And do you blame that for your decision?
No. I don't blame drugs. I don't blame anything. I don't make excuses. There's no excuse for committing murder.
This is weird. It's just like all these little things sprinkled in.
Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey.
Strange as it sounds, she says prison actually freed her. She's now sober and has earned her GED. How much do you think about your mom?
I still think about my mom from time to time. After all, she still was my mother. No matter what she did to me, I wish that I could go back in time and change things.
Was she a monster?
I don't believe my mother was a monster. I want people to know that she had mental illness. She had a lot of demons herself that she was struggling with. She was just a very sick woman.
Prison brought another unexpected change to Gypsy's life. She got a lot of letters from a lot of people.
I started getting a lot of support letters.
One of those letters from her now husband, Ryan Anderson, a middle school special education teacher from Louisiana.
He just said, I would like to get to know you and I support you and here's a little bit about myself. He sounded like a total sweetheart. And I'm like, I'm gonna write this guy back.
The couple married in 2022 while Gypsy was locked up. Ryan there to pick her up the day she was released. But you're really together physically for the first time.
Yes.
We call it newly together with.
What are your plans? Do you want to have children?
We've talked about starting a family. We just don't know when at this point. We're just trying to focus on our marriage and establishing a good marriage before we put kids into it.
Did you get your happy ending?
I think I did.
Time will tell. I think I'm a Prince Charming.
Gypsy says she knows she still has a long road ahead.
Well,
Much of your life with your mom was built on essentially getting the sympathy of the public. How do you convince people that you're not manipulating them now, as you and your mom did so many years ago?
Yeah.
I don't think I can convince anyone anything. All I can do is be myself, put myself out there and in the truest form. I'm not setting out to manipulate anyone. I'm just myself.
Our thanks to Deborah. Episode 1 of The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard is now streaming on Lifetime.
Brutal. And I think that no one should have to go through it, but I also feel like
I will finally share my story the way that
the moment that she decided to unalive her mom, that's the moment she stopped being a victim. Am I back yet? We're back? All right. Sorry, guys. I guess, the copyright gods was like, oh no, bitch, you're doing too much. So, I feel like it's going to keep on happening. So, I'm going to kind of let you guys decide, should we end this here and start a new stream and we can just fuck around? Like, we don't have to, like, do a topic. I don't know, like, I feel like we've kind of explored this. We did this little deep dive, and maybe we could do a deep dive on something else, or Or we can continue going on this, and I'll be a little bit more careful with what I use. I mean, I didn't realize I was using fucking Lifetime. That's the problem that I just ran into there. I have to restart. All right. Let's restart. We could go into whatever when we restart. I'll be right back. Okay. I'll be right back. Be right back, family.